Okay, we're
No. Ah!
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. It's time to drop your socks, grab your real-time clocks, and let's rock.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Welcome to CoCoTALK, episode 290. Time to give thanks. Ken has internet again, but apparently Restream does not.
CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world, keeping the Tandy flame alive. We may be mocked, but we'll never stop, cause CoCoTALK is rocking the 8-bit world.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. I've actually disconnected from Cox and running Verizon right now.
Wow.
So we'll see how well this works.
Glad you have a backup.
So yeah, this let me hit the stop share here. All right, let's start off with the panel introductions. Let's see. Top left-hand corner, we got Marco.
Glad to be here.
Okay, he turned into a Cylon. Okay, next over, Ken Waters. Hopefully your internet's better today.
Well, I don't know. How do I sound?
You sound pretty good. I guess they found the squirrel.
You sound as bright and clean as your shirt.
All right. Next over, Grant Leedy.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Next over, special guest Stevie.
Hello, hello.
Next row, yours truly. Next up, L. Curtis Boyle.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Rick Euland.
Bennett Contender.
Terry Stiggy.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay, Carriage Return, Line Feed, Ron Delvo.
Hey, enjoy this show today. Special.
All right, we got Fred Bravancha.
Yes, I couldn't stay away for such a special episode. Hello, everyone.
Hello, and then next up, Jason Reichard.
Hello, and my mom says I'm special.
Yeah. That's why the little short bus picks you up every morning, right? Let's see. Sloopy Malibu.
You're muted.
He's never sounded better.
Yeah,
He's lip syncing.
that's great.
Doing his Milli Vanilli impression.
Greetings. My dad said I was a treasure. My mother said, yeah, let's bury it.
Yeah, you sounded better before.
Okay. Next row, David Ladd.
Why, hello, everyone. Are you ready for today's episode? I'm sure the rest of us are. Please sit, stay a while. Join us for this train ride today.
All right. Alan.
Man, I'm just glad to be on the show today. Howdy, everyone. Coco.
You know, I've always lived with the motto, Murphy was an optimist.
It's not just a law, it's a lifestyle. And yeah, you are exactly right.
And apparently that Murphy's a huge fan of Restream.
That's right. So next up, Nick Marotta.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Hadn't seen
Hey,
you in a
Nick.
while.
And welcome
Nope.
back.
Thank you.
And on the other side of the globe, the other Nick.
Good day, everyone. Another show. When will this show ever finish?
Never. All right. So let me go put another quarter in the internet. Be right back. What is he doing?
hello. So he's gonna
Putting
go put
another quarter on the internet.
This isn't the vibrating bed in your hotel room.
Yeah, that's
there,
what I was
Mark.
about to ask.
What's going on?
Is this a
The cat keeps
station
throwing up.
television set?
So anyway, things are
Like
still
that.
blinking over there. So all right.
Crank the handle a few more times. It's a
That's
wind-up
right.
internet.
Someone poke that hamster, get him to start running faster in that wheel.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's running okay.
See,
I'm
there's your
actually-
problem. In Canada, we use squirrels. They run way faster than the hamsters.
It's a metric squirrel.
Okay, let's see. What do we got up first today?
I think it will
We're all
be
looking
Stevie.
at you, Curtis.
What?
We're all looking at you. No,
Or is it
All
me
right.
or Curtis or who? I don't know what you guys are.
yeah. Tell you what, why don't we spotlight you there, Stevie? And I think you've got something to say here. Let's see. Where is the spotlight? There it is.
Okay. Hello, everybody who is watching CoCoTALK. For those who possibly don't remember me, I'm the guy who started this show over 5 years ago. And for the past probably 6 or more months, I have not been able to be actively involved in the show. And I've come to the decision, since I can't really be part of it, that I am going to officially retire from CoCoTALK. And you might be saying, well, what's different since you haven't been on in 6 months anyways? You're already dead to us anyways, right? But no, what I'm actually asking to do is that when Steve retires from CoCoTALK, I'm actually asking to retire the name CoCoTALK. So the same show will have a new name once I am retired. And I think we're looking at the end of December will be the end of the name CoCoTALK, and starting in January will be the new show for the new name, which I will let you guys talk about. But I believe that date will be January 7th. So December of 2021 will be sunsetting the name of CoCoTALK, and I will be riding off into that sunset. And it's been a tremendous honor to be part of this panel, part of this community, and hopefully I'm still a part of the community. I have not had the time to devote to a lot of the administrative tasks and other production needs that are available. So I need to kind of officially remove myself from that picture. And I look forward to, as I've been for a while, just being a member of the audience and listening to the show and enjoying the show, because it is a fantastic show. So I think that's really all I have to say about that. And I don't know if you guys want to plan or promote it better, but I think it would be nice to maybe gather some content from people and maybe do a retrospective, and maybe have some people submit some clips on things like that, and have kind of like a going away party or something like that for the old name of the show. But other than that, that's all I have to say about that. So you don't have to keep me spotlit any longer. You're losing viewers by having them look at my face. So
Well, then shine a bright light on them too. While I was at it, for like, where were
the night of
you?
the 5th, right?
Yeah. Who are these people?
Well, one thing I think I can say on behalf of all of us is thank you for starting the show, Steve, because obviously we wouldn't be here if you hadn't. And I know we kind of started with, that first interview you did with me with, on joysticks and controllers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We started doing interviews, and then we actually kicked off the show, to start the promotion for a Coco Fest. So
when I was kind of going through my mind, and again, none of this is a contest, right? We're here as a hobby. But when I look back on what I have done, I started doing Coco videos in 2015. I have done over 200, even though I haven't done a new Coco video in a long time, I've done over 200 Coco gameplay videos. We did probably a half a dozen or more really good interviews, starting with Curtis Boyle, then Rick Adams, then Dale Lair, and the image producers, and Chris Latham. And then we even got Jerry Buckner from Buckner and Garcia of Pac-Man Fever fame. So that's a half a dozen incredible interviews that we were able to do before we even started CoCoTALK. And then we've had CoCoTALK, and the interviews that we've had, like, even though I wasn't able to be on the interview with Dave Dyes, I mean, that was gold, right? That was like 4 hours of radio gold and history preserved. So everything this show has done, I'm incredibly proud of, and especially Curtis, who's like 90% of the show at this point, and everything else. So yeah, completely proud.
That's my weight after Thanksgiving, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Completely proud of everything that we have achieved. We definitely have created the Gene Roddenberry Star Trek universe where, we imagined a community that was better than it could have been, and somehow that became a reality. And so I'm proud of all that. But unfortunately, my work and time don't allow me to be able to have too much hobby fun. So I just think it's time for me to bow out gracefully, and let you guys continue to officially run this as well as you've been running it.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and like I said, thank you for starting the show, because none of us would be here right now if it wasn't for that.
Right, and thank you for continuing it, because I would have been worried. I would have been worried for the past 6 months if it was in butterfingered hands and fumble fingers. So I haven't been worried about that. And obviously, in the community, I think what we most need to be thankful for is the community that we've managed to kind of congeal with, and how they're really the supporters of the show. The show is for them and about them, and it's what goes on in the community is what fuels what this show is all about. So it's all kind of self-fulfilling, self-sustaining.
And even yourself, Stevie, had mentioned a while ago, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't know the exact quote, but you'd mentioned that this is now a fan-driven show. It's all the people on the panel, it's people in the chat that join us every week, people in the Discord. I mean, it's a shared experience with a lot of people. There's no one person that's kind of in charge of it anymore, or even a small group of people. It's a whole bunch of people. So the interactivity, I think, is what really made our show.
Yeah, and I don't see any reason why that is not going to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
sorry, Ron.
We'll miss a lot of your questions and your prodding to keep us going and knowing when.
I'm sure you can yell at us through the chat still.
I think he brought us the name asparagus, or was that Jason that did that?
It was a group effort.
Yeah, I'm not.
They were going to do broccoli, then they decided on asparagus.
And but anyway, so I guess that's the first official announcement, and then continual reminders will go out to let people know. And I don't know what else you guys want to say about what you've decided to rename the show, and any other marketing or promotional presentations need to take place at this time.
Can anybody go on to Facebook and make an announcement that due to the restream issues, we can't broadcast to Facebook today?
Is that what's going on? I can try.
So no Facebooks, and we lost one. We have one Twitch and not the other Twitch. Or one of the YouTubes. So we're not able to send all of them.
Unable to connect. Yeah, I'm looking at that in Restream. Yeah, so Restream is having an issue. Yeah.
It's going to be an issue because Studio is probably going to have the same problem since it's going out.
It's Restream.
It does.
Yeah, and the only way we could even come on the air at all was me to switch over to Verizon from Cox. So
that was
interesting.
Looking like we are not on. It's looking like we're not on Facebook, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, we are on Twitch, though. I just checked.
So whatever network Cox is on is bad for
whatever one Mark's on.
Yeah, Mark's
right.
terrible.
Mark's on there.
You're sidelining.
All right, so let me pull up the feed and let me see if I can't share it. Let me get the share button.
Yeah, YouTube looks great.
That's
okay.
Good.
So
I'm going to make that post right now.
Would you say we have a bunch of people on Facebook that need to see this?
I think Mark Siegel usually watches it through Facebook, as an example.
And while we're doing that, I'd just like to add, if it wasn't for CoCoTALK, there probably would not be a CoCoMan cable .biz .cables or anything like that. This is basically what got me back into the Coco, was like, hey, there's a Coco podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep,
next
I would
thing
say
I know,
the same
I'm making
thing.
cables.
I would say the same thing too. If it wasn't for CoCoTALK, I probably wouldn't be back at Coco Fest and be where I am today.
Exactly. I wouldn't have gone to Coco Fest in 2018. So it's been a very positive thing, and
Yeah, you know, and it's like when I think about when we go to these events, you know, Cocoa Fest is great and it's celebrating the cocoa, but why am I going to Cocoa Fest? Do I want to see a bunch of other people's cocos when I have a house full of cocos myself? I'm not going there to see the machines. I'm going there to see the people. That's really what it's become. You know, it's become about the friendships and the relationships and that sense of community and hanging out with your friends. And that's why I even like VCF Midwest a little bit more than Cocoa Fest, since we don't really feel like we're being obligated or rude to anybody. If we don't hang out in the same room, we can all just kind of go out and eat and, go have pizza and leave Richard Lorbieski working without telling him that we went out to eat, Greg, and things like that. Right. So yeah, really to me, again, if I'm not on the show, hopefully it doesn't mean I'm still not friends with you guys. And I am still planning on going to Cocoa Fest and, bringing stuff to Cocoa Fest and buying stuff at Cocoa Fest and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's what it's all been about making friends.
Nope. I'm just there to see the machines.
Yeah, he's been waiting for that ag vision for years. So
Taylor has spoken.
There's got to be a rebel.
Well, some comments in the chat too along this line too. Exxon Paradise, Alan Murphy there says, if it were not for CoCoTALK, the COVID years would have been far more unbearable. That really rings true with me, as I've mentioned to Stevie in private. Jeremy Landry said, yeah, the show kept Jason out of jail temporarily, I'm sure. Ken Reichert said, if no CoCoTALK, there would not have been no Nightmare Highway game.
Wow.
And then he apologizes for the fact that there is one. Brian Walsh says, if it wasn't for CoCoTALK, I'd still be living in a van down by the river. Well, hopefully you've upgraded to the suburbs now in your van.
Down by the river. That's awesome. We should probably capture some of these as little quotes that we can put up in a montage or something. But yeah, if you guys could submit those in video form too, that'd be great. Yeah, because
he's moved to the nice Walmart parking lot now instead of down by the river.
And so like when I, the reason, at least because the Walmart parking lot's got lights on at night and stuff too. That's where we're getting robbed. But yeah, when I started taking time off because I was getting busy, I started also to realize, what, I kind of like having my Saturdays. I feel really selfish, but this has been like the highlight of my week to be able to hang out and laugh and have a good time. But because I'm so busy during the week, Saturday is like my, honeydew day and everything else. And not having to prepare for the show or do the show or stream the show and just having that time free has been like, wow, this is what it's like to have a Saturday. For like 5 years. I haven't had a Saturday or a Sunday because Sunday was, do the podcast and do all that kind of stuff. Saturday morning was recording stuff and streaming the show and sometimes doing an after dark show. And then Sunday was doing the podcast. So yeah, I've committed many, many weekends for a very long time. And I'm very selfishly looking forward to having some future weekends where I don't have to run an empire.
I just want to say, I think Aaron from Amigos Retro Gaming probably has the best quote I've seen so far. And I got to figure out where it went because I get scrolled off here just a sec. Ironically, I listened to the show on the way to jail. Because that's where he works.
No, I do like listening to the show because it is, that's because of my time. That's the only time I have to really enjoy it is on the road. So it's a great feature,
Yeah. And as I mentioned to you privately, Stephen, I think I mentioned on the show maybe once or twice too. I mean, during COVID, because my business went down the tubes and got extra unbusy, complete opposite of what happened to you. This was actually something that kept me sane, kept me having a schedule where I actually had to do things instead of just lounge around the house hoping work would show up. Trying to figure out if I could have to retire now at an age that I had no plans on doing so. Right. So it's actually helped me keep my sanity the last few years during COVID.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm grateful for this entire experience, and that's why I feel like I wanted to go out on a high note. I mean, right now we're at the top of our game, and we're going to stay that way. But I want to get out and retire at the top of the game. But I want to be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So before like 80-year-old people saying, "What did you press the button? Or are we on Twitter? I don't know what's going on here, Sonny. I'd speak louder."
You're on mute. No, you just need to turn your hearing aids on.
Can you wheel him up closer to his microphone?
Did anybody post to Facebook that if anyone wants to watch us live here, they have to do it on Twitch or YouTube?
I did.
You did? Okay, cool.
I did. Yes. Yes.
I would like to say something if it's possible.
We're out of time.
Story of my life. No, I wanted to thank Stevie for creating this wonderful show and having it go for so long. I mean, I'm one of the newer people here on the panel. I've only been here 2 years, but you've accepted me and brought me in, and I've noticed that you've done this with other people too. And that is not something that you see commonly in other classic computing communities. And this shows how much caring and feeling that this community and Stevie and the show have for the people within the show. And I want to thank you all for allowing me to come in and allowing others to come in before and after me and have us get to learn the Coco, the 6809 and such, and get to know the people around it and in the community.
Well, thank you, Sloopy. And I don't mean to interrupt that because that was very heartfelt, but I just saw something very funny come by in the live chat where Jeremy Landry says, can I throw in the hat the name for the new CoCoTALK spin-off show continuation? Can you call it CoCoTALK TNG?
And my question is, I'm trying to remember who let Sloopy in here again? No, I'm just kidding.
You left the door open.
I think he just showed up. Yeah.
No, but that's been the great thing about this. This entire show has been one big happy little accident. You know, nothing was planned. Everything has evolved and morphed over time. It's all been organic. It's all been natural. You can't fake friendship. You can't fake enthusiasm. You can't fake sincerity. And everybody here is genuinely sincere and enthusiastic and friendly towards each other because we are all part of the same community. And I believe that those feelings extend out, and that's what makes our community so great. You say it's not like that in the other retro communities, but maybe that's because we're used to our machine always being that underdog machine, and we never felt like we were entitled or appreciated or respected or even recognized as computer people back in the day. And maybe that sense of modesty and humbleness has carried forward to our lives, and we're still using the Coco today like we did back then. But some of us are making, millions of dollars now, like Nick Marenti's on this. So,
I think the Coco community was always busy defending itself against the other ones. We couldn't afford to have our internal fighting as much because otherwise we would just be losing.
There hasn't been internal fighting, but
No, I'm saying it's less though. Like, as Sloopy said, it's less than I've seen in some other retro communities too. So
is that Rob Inman out there? Are we seeing a Rob Inman sighting in Tandy Color Computer 3? Rob, why aren't you on the show? Where the hell have you been, Rob? Rob's been an important part of the history and the fabric and the legacy of this show. You need to get your ass on the panel, Rob. And you better be here before we retire the name for damn sure, slack ass.
Just let you know, Stevie.
Tell them what you really think, Stevie.
Just let you know, Stevie. I hate to inform you, but the price of the hotel room with me is going to increase because you lost your employee discount now.
Wow, leave it to Greg.
Are you taking David Ladd with you?
Not
hey, Nick.
You're upgrading your room to a free David Ladd?
Wow. Not staying with Grant. Perks of retirement.
Trust me, all the gassiness that comes from Stevie will be a treasure. Trust me.
Oh yeah. Put that in a bottle.
Oh God, no.
Put it in a bottle. We can sell it.
Okay.
Aaron says, "Oh Lord, that's not an upgrade." He knows David too well.
Yes.
Who knows the David very well?
Aaron.
Amigo Aaron.
Well, he hasn't met me in person, so how would he know?
He considers himself lucky for that, I think. But,
David, you're infamous.
Oh,
yes,
Lord.
there we go.
Did Restream die?
I don't know. I still see us on YouTube.
Yep, you're good.
I think it's been going
we're
up
still
and
on.
down.
But yeah, since we are in the holiday of Thanksgiving, I'm definitely thankful for all the friendships that we have formed.
Because my doc tells me everything's offline.
Oh, really?
No,
we're still streaming on Twitch.
Still hear you. So
yeah, I'm seeing it on Twitch just fine.
YouTube is good.
Yeah, I still see it on YouTube here, but yeah, I'm going to turn off the dock because it's apparently not
the dock
wrong, or not right.
Died.
The dock is broken. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're here.
Aaron says the stream is up. If anybody can
So,
hear.
Stevie, what are you going to do with all your free time now?
Well, ironically, it's not really that free, right? And so the only free time I've had And if I could shamelessly plug the other project, is Sunday evenings is the only time I have free, and I did start a little side project that if anybody's interested, you could listen to my other show, my other podcast, and honestly, that's the only time I have that's free, like late Sunday afternoon. So Saturdays are usually eaten up, my weekdays are eaten up, and so Sunday afternoon is really my only free time. That other show, that's right. So,
well, I do know your work really picked up over COVID. I remember.
Yeah, when you and I were talking, Curtis, it's like you were saying, COVID slowed down for you. The apocalypse was great for business for me. It just made me really busy. So, and 2023 is looking like, I've got a bunch of new clients coming on board, but onboarding is a lot of work, and then supporting is the work, because now that they're paying me every month, they actually want me to do stuff for them, and responsibility kicks in and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So the good news is, the thing that pays my bills is finally, after 12 years of struggling, is starting to become almost, dare I say, profitable. You got to watch that, because it's going to, lightning's going to strike. But yeah, everybody's got their struggles, right? Just trying to struggle to survive and pay the bills. So luckily things will be hopefully next year will be slightly better than just getting by. So. But it's all good, and thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Awesome.
Okay. So I think Mark, it's probably the cue for
run it.
All right, let me do this.
On that beautiful bean footage.
The time has come to unite the world under one nation, an 8-bit nation, a neon green nation. The Coco Nation. The Coco Nation Show, coming soon.
That was cool.
You saw it here first, baby.
That was cool. That was super
My favorite
cool.
line is still the neon green nation. That just
Neon Green Nation. Yes. Well, when you say it's time to unite, it's almost like saying make America great again. It's not like we've been divided. We're already united. But yeah, cool stuff. The Coco Nation. That is awesome. Good job. I recognize some of the work. I recognize some of the soundtrack in there. I recognize some of the voice talent in there. Yeah, good stuff.
That's a new use of the word talent I wasn't previously aware of.
You forgot to use the quotation fingers when you said talent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the idea is basically one nation for all Cocos.
One nation for all Cocos, meaning the
What about the MC10?
Yeah, the unified nation across the entire world, not any particular nation, just so that people don't get that idea. It's meant to be unity of all Cocoers and Coco cousins, basically.
Yes, even the MC10. We need something to hold open the door.
No, just out of curiosity, because of that pyramid, does that really mean that we've been secretly been the Illuminati this whole time? And that
Absolutely.
we are the 1% who's running the world?
No Illuminati to see here. Move along.
I thought it was the Illuminati. It was the
Illuminati.
1% is good, but ruling maybe not so much.
Reminds me of a guy I went to school with, salmonella. I knew that guy. He had a funny smell to him. So yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have the best personal hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron says, man, the Illuminati has hit the skids.
Well, times are tough all over, let's face it.
That's right. I'd like to rule the world, but first, have you got any spare change?
And Jim Rye says, can we declare war on the Rhythm Nation?
On the Rhythm Nation.
We're taking over and no one will even notice.
The name change is already paying dividend in dad jokes. It's awesome.
Coco Nation. You're going to have an anthem too? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the Coco Nation of the planet and to the 6809.
We have our flag.
And all of its efficiencies. One community under God, indivisible, with 16
and green
and green screen. Amen. All right. So yeah, we have to work on that one, but yeah.
Indivisible zero.
Yeah. Division by zero. Yeah. Yes.
War on the Rupert Rhythm Nation.
Okay, Ken.
All right. Well, I'm gonna run because we got to go get our live Christmas tree. That's our after Thanksgiving tradition. I gotta go with the wife, grab a Christmas tree that will be dead before Christmas gets here because that's how we roll. So, thank you all.
I'll be waiting for the news story that says a Florida man.
So a Florida man, a bonfire, and an alligator. I don't know what was happening, but
and something about a Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
I guess technically it's not live. Once it's been chopped off the ground, it's just basically waiting to die. Right?
Yeah,
It's not technically, but it's a real tree, as it is known. It's a real tree. That's our tradition. Get the real tree after Thanksgiving, right? So
it's like somehow the entire Christmas tree store went up in flames.
Beautiful. I love the new little intro. I love the little semi-graphic flag waving there. That was great. Spared all expense on that, I could tell. So that was incredible production. The production value has not gone down at all. That's it's great to see. We are right there at rock bottom still.
Yep, so, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, we're all
we have
about
standards, you know.
All right.
Lateral move. That's it. Lateral move.
I'm going to run. I love you guys, including David Ladd. And Nick Marota's here. Nick Marota. Where are you, brother? Come here. Give me a hug before we go. Can you turn on your camera?
No.
All right.
He's here. I am not. No, it's not because you, Stevie. I'm not camera ready.
All right.
Hey, I'm sure he has a very good reason. I think we're probably better off if he doesn't.
Nick Marota. Nick, hear my words. I love you, man.
I love you too, man.
All right. I'm going to go, guys. I love all of you and even David Ladd. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Nice, Steve.
All right.
Okay, run the outro.
Here we go. Actually, how about we run? I was thinking that if we can run the PSA commercial, I could attempt to switch the internet back and see if we fall flat in our face.
All right, go ahead.
Because this one's barely doing it. All right, come over here. We got to share screen over here.
Whatever you do, don't press the big red button.
You mean this one?
You are watching CoCoTALK, the world's leading weekly video podcast, featuring a Tandy color computer. We spread the love to the past, present, and future for all models, including the original color computer, the Coco 3, and the world-renowned exclusive French-Canadian Coco 2. The Radio Shack.
CoCoTALK would like to thank the patrons who sponsor our program, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Alan Huffman, Alan Murphy, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Karen Anscombe, D. Bruce Moore, Daddy Burrito, Diego, Eric Canales, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Grant B., Henry Strickland, J Style, Justin Larson, Ken Reichert, Malfunct, Melly, Mike Rayburn, OG Hugo, Rick Hewlin, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Stephen Wagner, Steve Batson, Terry Steen, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tim Thayer, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., Tony C., and William Athing. Thank you ever so much, patrons.
Cue.
Yeah, wake up, Mark.
That's my cue.
Your cue.
Yep, my cue. All right.
Be on your performance review, Mark.
So, Jason,
I guess there's a couple of questions in chat we should probably address here because asking about the changes to the show. One that's been asked a few times is, will the episode count continue? And I think we kind of decided that it should continue, both as a form of continuity, that this is the continuation of the show. It's not like starting over from scratch because we're going to have the same terrible faces on the screen you see now. And also because if we have people asking a question like, what episode did you guys interview so and so on, or what did you talk about this game review or whatever? I don't want to have to remember which version of the show it came from. So we just have the episode number. We can just rattle it off.
Okay.
Cool. The other thing too, I would probably suggest we'll need to be switching. People need to cancel their Patreon account on the old show and then switch it over to the new show. So that will be getting posted, I believe, next week on the next show. so that people can start doing that.
Okay. And then other than the change in the look, I mean, there'll be a new Zoom link to come out at some point.
Yeah. Are you guys going to be disseminating that through Discord, or just so people know
Probably
where to go
lots
to
of
get this information in between?
Discord, on the show, lots of channels. It's all in progress.
Yeah. Well, I remember we do have a for the Zoom call, we do have passwords and stuff to prevent some of the bad spamming we had in the past, and so that'll have to be done privately some way, not just a public announcement, because then we'll start getting all the people throwing
all the riffraff,
racism and crap like they did last time. So
Commodore users, Amiga users,
Those Atari users, they still get in somehow. Though.
We also have a question about the Discord server. What's gonna happen to the Discord server?
The only thing really happening in the Discord, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding, the only thing is that the name of the CoCoTalk related channels will change to say the Coco Nation.
Yeah, I was going to
basically
say
a Coco Discord, not a CoCoTalk Discord.
Yeah, I was going to say my Discord server's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
it will stay until I'm dead.
All hail David Ladd.
Yeah.
And hopefully longer.
Oh, I've been saying that wrong. I've always been saying, "Oh hell, David Ladd."
I'll drink Diet Dr. Pepper to that.
Yeah, actually, a big thank you to David for setting up the Discord for the Coco community in general, and the fact that it actually has hosted, some of our planning stuff and some of the news summaries, etc., as well as some CoCoTalk specific chats, as well as everything else that covers everything the Coco hardware and software related. So, big thanks.
Well, actually, it was a group effort. I know that there was some resistance when I kept trying to push Discord when we were all using Skype. But I saw the potential because the fact that you could do groups, you had the voice. Of course, at that time, we didn't know about the video that was coming, but still, there was so many forum-esque features. I thought it would be great.
Yeah, without seeing primitive like a forum, because forums are kind of dropping. A lot of people just don't bother with them anymore. So,
well, that actually is an unfortunate thing because there's so many things forums are great for. That
but the younger set, the young people on the show, like, well, I guess yourself and Nick Marotta and others, that's the kids just don't play with the old stuff. It's like IRC chat, there's a few, but not as many. And Discord definitely has been adding features, as you said, like video and stuff that we've used quite a bit. So.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Yep, file attachments. Which if you're a Nitro subscriber with Discord, your file attachment size I think is now 100 meg. If you're at the 99 level,
correct,
which is handy, because then you can like record videos, and as long as they're at that 100 meg or less mark, you can like post videos like crazy in Discord.
So yeah, that answers that question. Yes, the Discord will continue. You'll see a couple of minor name changes in some of the channel names. That's pretty well it.
Purely cosmetic.
Yeah. And as far as the rest of it, we'll kind of like Terry mentioned, we'll be kind of gradually releasing that as we get a little promotional stuff ready for switching other things over and where to go find stuff and how to join the show, etc. So, we should mention taking some time off over the holidays too.
Yes, we get vacation.
Vacation, about time. I've only been here how long now?
Yeah.
Get vacation time. Woo!
So we're taking because of the show falls over Christmas, of course. So we're taking. I'm trying to get the specific dates here. Now, Mark, you were talking about possibly doing kind of a smaller impromptu thing on Christmas Eve?
No, New Year's.
Or New Year's Eve? Okay.
Because 2 weeks without CoCoTalk's a little long, you know what I mean?
I thought New Year's Eve was going to be the David Ladd New Year's special.
Besides, that show is going to be all acquisitions.
Yeah, true. But anyway, for everybody in the audience there, Christmas Eve, the 24th this year would have been Saturday for the CoCoTalk show. We will be taking that off, and it's the first official time off. Now, I know a lot of other professional podcasts from Twit to CNET to a bunch of others, they usually do take key holidays off because people do need a bit of a break. And I know the few times I've had to miss a show due to work, whatever, I feel guilty because I wasn't able to make it, even though I'm busy working, whatever. So I would just rather have the guilt-free version of having a holiday once in a while. So it'll be a few weeks a year. We'll be taking some time off, Christmas being the main one. Go ahead, Jason.
You said professional podcast, so what does that have to do with us?
Well, we should take more time off because we're so unprofessional. We should be in training, if anything. But
and just to make it clear, we will be taking only U.S. holidays off and not Canadian holidays.
Well, fortunately, Christmas is the same for both.
Ken and I are sticking with Canadian because we have more of them.
They have that
slave drivers.
They have that day called Boxing Day, and they have their Thanksgiving in October. I mean, come on.
Well, it's because we know on Thanksgiving was snow.
I didn't think boxing was that big of a holiday.
No, it's not. It was our big shopping day, the equivalent of your Black Friday for years. So
then there's Canada Day on what, July 1st, I think? Is that right?
Yours is on the 4th.
Yep.
And if that falls on either side of the weekend, we both take long weekends.
And there are parts of the U.S. where Thanksgiving there is a lot of snow. I remember a few at my grandparents' house in upstate New York where there was a lot of snow on Thanksgiving. Anyway.
I was going to say, I remember snow coming in right before Halloween.
Oh, no, we get that regularly here. Except where Ken is.
No, where I am now.
You remember the old Saskatchewan ones where you get snow in
absolutely.
mid-October and stay around through Halloween.
Going out trick-or-treating, you can't see what your costume is because you're wearing too damn many winter clothes.
Yeah, like a snowsuit and
too many layers.
And the whole bit.
Meanwhile, in Canada,
I'm a ghost in a snowsuit. Yeah, that was what you dress up as. Do they even have Halloween in Australia, Nick? Renties?
We have it, but it's because we just copy the US. There's no real reason for it.
Well, sure there is. It's to sugar up the kids and send them back home so the parents have to take care of them when they're completely wired.
Well, they have it, but it's a bunch of weird candy that's upside down.
Yeah, the Vegemite chocolate is not something I want, and that's a real thing, folks. Not even joking. There's Vegemite chocolate.
And Halloween falls like in springtime in Australia too, right? So you get a totally different vibe, I would think, because of the different season.
Well, Christmas is in summer for us.
Yeah, now that would be a really different vibe. Nick, I have a question. Do you guys have a lot of Christmas songs that are specific to Australia, where you talk about the warm weather? You know, unlike our Christmas songs up here, where all we talk about is how cold and snowy it is.
You know,
something like Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Or no, the Australian one.
We do have a few Australian ones, but largely you mainly hear the US ones about snow and all that.
That must be really weird to talk about snow in the middle of summer.
You're watching TV and they're showing you snow and all this and reindeers and all that. You look out the window and it's steaming hot.
Yeah, with kangaroos jumping around and killer snakes trying to get into your toilet and stuff. Yeah.
Otherwise, you got that creepy FIFA Santa Claus in this.
But I mean, even in the States, if you're like in Ron's area or something like that, you don't see snow there for Christmas either, do you, Ron? Oh, you're muted, Ron. You're still muted.
I didn't have to hear that one.
You open the refrigerator and you see that same kind of snow. Of course, it doesn't precipitate or anything, but there it is in there. You know, put your hand in there. It's cold. Ooh, close it.
I've experienced winter for the year. See you later.
No more refrigerator.
So over in the chat, things have been pretty busy. Oh yeah, most Jeremy Laundry, most popular Canadian Halloween costume is "I'm trying to keep warm."
Yep.
Norway has a couple of days of summer.
Without snow.
Tom Eric, yeah, without snow. Jeremy Landry, Australian Christmas has Saint Nick in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts and drinking a Corona.
So that's who Ken's impersonating. I finally figured it out.
I thought it was the Fosters.
I'm Australian Santa Claus.
I'm gonna have to Google like Australian Christmas songs and listen to some of those. Those must be pretty interesting.
So an open container's all right as long as you're driving a sleigh, is what they're saying.
Yeah, and then the Rudolph.
As long
the
as the deer aren't drinking or the reindeer aren't drinking, you're fine.
If you ever heard them land on the roof of your house, they've been drinking. Trust me.
So a little off the topic, I have to say I like the comment from Tandy Color Computer 3 in the stream. Says Coco Nation's going to include extra U's in all the words due to the new Canadian management.
Exactly.
The Cuckoo Nation show. Well, actually, no, that fits us too well. Never mind.
Oh.
So that's probably the biggest announcement for the show today. Everything else is going to seem a bit minor compared to that.
Yeah, everything else is just going to be a letdown, you know.
I can go back to sleep.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Send Mikey to sleep.
Actually, Mikey mentioned earlier, I don't know if you saw that, but he said there won't be any napping for him today because he's he's a bit of a surprise by the announcement, like I think most people were. I mean, honestly, for us, it was a big surprise. It just came out of the blue too. Everybody that's been involved in scrambling to get something else new started up, so to kind of take the reins over. So a big thank you to the people that are involved in that. I've been only involved in the periphery, so it's mainly been like Grant and Terry and Mark and David and who else am I missing there?
Alan,
yep. I never remember him because I don't see his face.
Yeah, I was going to remember Alan.
No, trust me. If you ever see his face in real life, you don't want to. You'll be hurting for the rest of your life. Nightmares.
Hey! It's the Murphy effect. Come on now.
Grant nailed it.
And there's a lot of other people kind of helping behind the scenes now too. That we'll bring them up as time progresses here. So are going to be contributing.
Who did the graphics? If I want to say it was Ken, correct, and then D. Bruce Moore for the
not this Ken, the other Ken.
Yeah,
Ken Reichert. Yeah,
Coco Man's brother.
There's also new theme music coming from Bruce Moore, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So look forward to that coming up when the new show starts off.
Okay. Well, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
And for those we didn't copy everybody in off the start here because we were just figuring it out as we went along too. It was very, very sudden.
The hair was
all this happened.
Our hair was on fire.
Yep, literally.
Yeah.
That's because Curtis was soldering again.
Hey, more than just my hair then. Anyway, I just want to make sure, excuse me, that people that did not hear about it because we've been scrambling, we didn't actually decide the date until today. During the pre-show, literally, is when the changeovers happen. So things are still in a state of flux. We don't have everything ready, like the new theme and backgrounds and stuff like that. There's been some proposals going by. I know Ron. I think we're going to hit you up for some possible artwork stuff here too. We definitely want you to keep your Ron's Garage segment and stuff going too as well.
It's Ron's Nation. No,
Ron's Nation.
or Garage Nation. I don't know.
Garage Nation.
Ron's National good. Garage.
Yeah.
And your theme music will be Garage Band, right?
Well, I don't think it'll be. I think I should defer to someone that has a larger collection. Who would that be?
Brian.
Yeah, Brian or Terry. I would say would be the two best.
Or Terry.
Brian's got National Warehouse.
So there will be a
Coco Warehouse.
Yeah.
And I think
Nick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say there will be a new website which will have all the links to the new YouTube channel and all that sort of stuff coming soon.
So I have to change the banner for nothing.
Which banner?
Not really.
Facebook.
Yeah.
No, your
Facebook.
banner just says Ron's Garage, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no CoCoTALK Facebook group, is there?
I'm a Coconut, I guess, is the closest.
Yeah.
Here, just to refresh everyone's memory. Let me do this, and then. Yep. So it can go just as is.
So just to bring everybody up to speed, Ron's Garage will continue on the new program.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm relieved.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
relieved.
part of that continuity we were talking about earlier.
So I picked this flag, not even knowing the name of the new group. Crazy.
Oh, I was gonna use my continuity tester on my multimeter to check for the continuity of the show.
And just let you know too, Terry and myself are going to be working behind the scenes. We're going to be, like I said, we'll be forming an LLC. So therefore, it won't be held by one person in the future. So
Yeah, it also makes succession handling a lot easier because you'll have multiple people on there, so that even if one person has to leave for whatever reason, or heaven forbids passes away or something, it's not a mad scramble. You'll still have other people that have already been part of the LLC that can kind of take it over and then help get somebody else to join in. So
All right,
transition should be pretty smooth.
I got a question now. All this archival stuff that we've done on CoCoTalk, that was beautiful interviews and great information, and learning about the color computer and machine language shows, and all that stuff. Is that all available to us on some kind of pay and play type thing? Or
I'll let Terry and Grant handle that one.
Stevie has allowed us to copy that to the new channel, so we will have all that, and he's going to continue the I Am a Coconut site as well, so it'll be in both places. There won't be a pay to view or anything like that, but
who would pay for this?
We pay for it every week,
so it's all going to still be available.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're a Coco user back in the day, and you stumble across the nation, quote unquote,
and the old links are still going to work. So
yeah, you're going to be looking at stuff that's labeled CoCoTalk. Well,
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think all of us really wanted to keep the name, but that was not something we had a choice in.
But you've seen comic books change names, but continue on with episode or with the series numbers and stuff.
Yeah, people get used to it. It'll be a bit of a transition. As the casual finder of us will be the one that has the most problem, because they might say, watch the Taylor and Amy show, and they have an episode with a Coco in it, and then they mention CoCoTalk. Well, they're not going to go re-edit all their old shows. You're not going to get every podcast to do that. So with Stevie leaving his stuff up, you can search for it, and then hopefully there'll be some little blurb on the tag or description or something that will say, by the way, it's now the Coco Nation show. Plus, we'll have the episodes on our channel, so they can find ours too, our copy of it, and then know that the name has just changed. We probably should post a little video on our new YouTube channel that just kind of explains the name change and what the legacy was and what it's going to be in the future, just so that people 3 years from now will know what the hell's going on.
That'd be a good video for you to make there, Curtis. You're the
Nope,
voice.
I've had enough on my plate. Thank you, Grant.
But you have the great voice.
No, I don't. I'm still hitting puberty, and I'm a 55, so. I definitely don't want to do that.
And Steve did say he'll cross promote with us, so he will put the new site and channels and stuff on his I Am a Coconut, just so there is continuity and no confusion for, like you said, Ron, newer people finding it off of a search, and then we want to be able to have them visit the current channel that as it is.
And I think Stevie was going to be simulcasting it too for a few weeks as well. So
yeah, just to help with the transition. People, if they catch it live, they'll be able to see that it's changed, it's moving to here. We'll have that the exact URLs, etc., for that, so that they can follow along and join on the new.
Of course, today it may not be working so well.
Well, Restream itself isn't working so well today. So,
and I don't know that it was mentioned with Stevie, but he did send out a request to all the current Patreons requesting that they move to the new one. So I know that was sent out. A few people got those emails, I believe. So the transition has started.
Yeah.
So does that LLC have to be set up before you start taking in the money?
No. So right now we have temporary accounts, and then once we get the LLC, then everything will be moved over to Wyoming, because they do not have a state income tax. So that will be where it'd be based out of, is Wyoming.
Yeah. Any further questions from the panel, from the members that did not know that this was happening? And it's been literally over the course of just over a week. It's been a mad scramble. As of the end of last show, we had no idea this was happening.
Actually, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, sorry, yeah.
I
for
had
one,
long
did-
flowing hair before all this.
Good
Mine's
thing David
coming
Ladd already
out.
lost his hair.
I, for one, did not know, but no questions really. I mean, I might have some next week. We'll see. But
Yeah.
I think it's all been explained pretty well.
All right.
Yeah, and I expect it'll be just sinking in for a lot of people. Like the initial, I think the initial announcement that Steve had given us, some of the people on the planning part of the show, I don't think there was too much of a response immediately after because we were just stunned. We didn't know this was happening. Like there was no forewarning, so it was kind of what? That was my initial reaction. But anyway, it's being done now. It's well underway. You'll see the changes gradually, and then as of January 7th, we'll be switching over officially. So I look forward to seeing all of you just exactly the same as we do now. Just a new logo and some new background graphics, etc.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
still
just
all
new-
about the
a new
Coco.
look.
Yeah.
All right.
So we
Now, if I
don't
could just do some
officially-
about my looks, that would be even better. But
We don't officially have a new logo yet, right?
Yeah.
Or do we from the graphic?
Kind of in flux right now, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. So we're
But-
still. If you got one there, Ron, just let us know.
Yeah, I got some ideas.
We're taking
the best way-
submissions.
The best way I can explain this is content is what matters, and the content will continue.
Yeah.
On the Coco Nation.
We'll come up with some logos and some stuff to go with that.
Speaking of which, Ken, are you ready for Game On Challenge?
Oh, one other thing, real quick. Terry, what's a good email address that if the viewers have questions, they can email us at?
I'd say just send it to show@thecoconation.com.
Cool.
There
Subject
already
info.
is a CoCoNation.com.
Yep.
There is.
we've been scrambling, Ron. And by we, I mean Terry and Grant, not me.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
what's,
Terry,
Yes.
the link I have says info@thecoconation.com. So do you also have
That would
shows
work
set up as
too,
well?
but we're thinking maybe if it's show related, we're gonna send it to that email address. But yeah, either one of those would work.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so I think that's enough on that for now. There'll be more details coming out over the next few weeks. So I think we'll go on to the game on challenges you were mentioning.
Okay.
If we must.
The time has come to unite the world under one nation, an 8-bit nation, a neon green nation, the Coco Nation. The Coco Nation Show, coming soon.
Welcome everybody to the CoCoTALK Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Panic Button. We had a total of 20 players. Our first submission was from Ed Rhodes, but unfortunately his screenshot cut off the score and I could not see what it was. We then had a three-way tie for 17th with Bob and Coco, Mark B, and Terry Stagey with 30 points. Bacon Fire Bob, 120. Sabhead, 160. Sloopy Malibu, 240. Then we had a tie for 12th place between Mr. Dave, 6309, and Tasman with 270. We then had a three-way tie for 9th with Buck Owens, Shenley, and Tom S. for 300. Jim Rye had 310. We then had a two-way tie for 6th with Canadian Retro Things and L. Curtis Boyle with 330. Rich N had 450. David Ladd had 500. Justin Larson had 600. Flutterball 640. And the number one score this week was Brian Walsh with 660. Thanks everybody that played, and we will see you again next week.
You know what?
there
We should have some kind of an award or a mention for something for creative names on that list. Because some of them are pretty cool.
I'm just surprised not to see Buck Owens.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't one of the top players this week, so it was definitely a difficult.
I know
game.
why. He was a bit busy testing a certain game for a certain Nick Marentes.
So it's all Nick
Hartford's
Marentes'
cool.
fault.
Sorry.
Blame Australia.
Yep, it's all Australia's fault that Buck Owens couldn't take the top spots. So
King of the trash can.
Well, other than Brian Walsh, it was a three-way tie for last place.
So this was definitely a difficult game. I've managed to find a few reviews for it. So the first one right here was from Hot Cocoa, February of '84. So basically, this review just goes through and tells you exactly how to play the game. The last paragraph, the guy said, I thought Panic Button was a fun, provocative, and challenging game. It requires concentration and quick reflexes, which definitely true.
What's the chart up on the top show?
Or
did it have one?
I don't know if this one had one.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Unless it's this one.
No,
I guess
next
it
one
would
down.
probably be this one.
Next one down, right there.
This
that
one
page.
here?
Yeah, the one's on that page, I think, is it.
Well, the one that's above Mud Pies?
I don't know.
I don't know. That I was confused on that. That's why I wasn't going to mention whether it was which was the proper graphic for that. Anyway, yeah, they didn't really say anything groundbreaking in this review. Just that, just told you how to play it.
The black square at the bottom is the end of the article.
Yeah. And then Rainbow January of '84 had a review, which again basically just talks about how to play the game. Something that they both talk about is the best part of the game is getting to throw a cake at your boss at the end of level 2. If anybody made it to that point. And also that Panic Button's addictive, and that, again, it's an enjoyable game, worth the price, and recommended to anybody that enjoys action-packed fun and sweet revenge. And by the sweet revenge, he's talking about throwing a cake at your boss.
Yeah. What I like about these two, just to interrupt for just a second here, but one thing I like about the reviews you found, these are actually published from when it was sold by First Star directly. This is these reviews are a year or two before Radio Shack decided to pick it up as a game and sell it.
I was just going to mention that right after this review, let's see, in April of '86, after Tandy had released it, Rainbow did another review of it, so now it's under Tandy's label for the game. And I found this review to be a little bit strange because they didn't really say anything new about it other than it actually gives you instructions on how to play the game by inserting the game cartridge, plug in the joystick, turn on your Coco, and turn on your TV. I don't think I've seen game reviews that are actually searching that much for things to write in it that they include those instructions.
Well, something really cool at the bottom there. It says available in Radio Shack stores nationwide.
Yeah.
And in Canada, I can vouch for.
And then they also explained that choosing levels 1, 3, or 7, that number 1 is the easiest. So that's the one you should be choosing when you start the game off. So actually, the first couple of paragraphs in this review give some pretty basic information, and for 1986 on playing games. I thought it was a little strange.
I think they missed a few of the steps there at the beginning. At the end, when you turn on your TV set, then you should turn off your Coco, pull out the cartridge, and throw it across the floor. I couldn't
It's only
play
when
that
you
game
rage.
to save my life. Oh,
It's only when you rage quit. They could have done a third paragraph here about rage quitting. Yeah.
Terry, are you a game player?
well, if I played that one, no.
It's a hard game. It's very.
It is a
very
hard
difficult.
game. But I do agree with what they say in this, that it's an addictive game that after you get fired, you just want to play it again and get back at the boss, I guess.
Now, one thing I will mention that I completely forgot to do when I joined you guys briefly on the Game on Challenge to play it live, and I completely forgot a strategy I used back in the day when I first played it, is to actually use the darn panic button.
Yeah.
Which stops the conveyor belts, and I totally forgot about that and didn't do it. So that's, I probably could have done a bit better.
Yeah, I only used it once, I believe, myself. But there was other tactics I used. So.
Well, that's what we're talking about now is tactics as we're watching David Ladd's video.
Yeah, well, explain your tactics, David, since you had a really good score.
So one of the things I was doing was to use my own body to block the stuff as it came. Yep. And then that way I could control what was going on as best as possible. It can get fast paced. And then of course you have screw ups like that one there.
One funny thing is I didn't even actually notice until I was done playing last night that the body parts don't come out randomly out of the three things at the top. Like that the head comes out of one, the body comes out of the other, and the arms or the legs come out of the other. I
didn't even notice that either, but you're right.
I just never paid attention to that. I always thought they were coming out randomly at some point, but
that's what I assumed too.
So you always know you always know what's going to come out of. So you can actually, like David is doing here, is hold the piece under the one that should be. So that actually would make the game a whole lot easier.
So it is basically like Lucille Ball making the chocolates.
Absolutely.
Except you know where the heads come out. So, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, yeah, I like the game. It definitely later levels it gets more interesting.
Yeah, when they start doing the shoots on 3 different levels, holy cow.
So you can't put a head on a torso or on its legs?
You can, but you buggered up the robot or whatever shape you're building, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And you have a time limit to get properly assembled things, a certain quantity. So
and down to the bottom. They have to be properly assembled and at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Because I lost a couple of times where I had like 2 things still going through the conveyor belt and the time ended before they could count at the bottom of the screen.
You know, when the screen gets small like that, it looks like the guy had to think about how to program that to make it look decent, so looks like he might have put some work in there.
Looks like a nice effect. I like it. It looks like the screen is folding in on itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cakes are similar to the previous one. The next one is where it gets really difficult.
Yeah.
Good thing those candles aren't lit.
I never had this game back in the day. I don't think I ever played it before. Now I have a question though. This might divert the topic a little bit, hopefully not for long, but so this is a really hard game. What other games would you guys say are particularly hard that you've played for the Coco before?
Dungeons of Daggerath.
Predator.
Predator I would classify under impossible, but
RoboCop's pretty hard too.
You know what I thought was a hard game was Downland. I swear it took me like 100 tries just to get past the first game or first board.
It's definitely one that has the pixel perfect jumping.
Yeah, that made it so frustrating.
It almost feels like a Spectrum game at that point.
Yeah. So here's the scene where you throw the cake at the boss, just in case anybody didn't get to see this.
flat.
Building the houses, yes. That's
Was there any sound when it hit him?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't have the sound on right now.
Oh.
Because this is definitely a game that I did find the sound a little bit grating.
And you can see on this level, you've got the chutes now on 3 different levels. They're not all in a nice little row. So you have to like really run around and capture things before they roll off the bottom.
yeah, this is the stage where you'll probably require using the panic button more often when possible.
You couldn't make a duplex or anything?
Yeah, see, it gets way more difficult.
I'm trying to remember what's the thing when they start floating around. What is that about?
It's just to distract you and get in your way.
So I know you can grab them after they start floating around.
You can.
So I did mention.
The problem is sometimes they float under things and catch them when they fall off one conveyor belt onto the next, and then you've got a destroyed piece.
No, it's a pretty cool game. It's original. I don't know anything like
Yeah.
this from the arcade or any other platform, to be honest. Definitely, you're not going to find it too easy.
And it really
But you
makes
do
it
feel like you're getting better. I think Ken was right. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to come back to it because you finally make it to level 2. Then you finally make it past that first intermission where you throw the cake into the boss's face. So they actually feel like you can progress if you spend some time at it.
So you can stack too, huh?
You can hold things back.
Yeah, you can just stand in the way and block them and then start piling up if you let it go too long. But
Yeah, I was trying.
you did better than us, so yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if on the edges where you can stack the items, if you fill up an area, it clears that whole bench out. So
Now this is a level I actually didn't get to yesterday. So
the phone level.
What's after that? The modem level?
I don't know. Never got that far.
Push buttons next.
And there, I
See, there
finally
is-
used. First time using
the panic button.
Yep.
The acoustic coupler.
Then the
level.
boss comes on and grumbles at you, and you have to.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He pops in at the
In that box there.
in the box there, and
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you only get 1 or 2 uses of the panic button, and then you're just done.
So any other strategies there? You said basically use the panic button, maybe starting at level 3 once you kind of get used to things. Block some of the shapes, like hold them up in the conveyor belt.
As
slow things
best
down.
as you can, yeah.
Any other tips or tricks?
Not from me.
I don't really have any. I mean, I remember the panic button exists, I guess is the big one for me because I totally forgot. Even though it's the name of the game and all.
I forgot a few times as well. I only used it a couple of times.
Yeah, see, I tried to use the panic button there, and it wasn't having any of it.
Yeah, I imagine you only get to use it so many times per man or per screen.
But I was trying. I was trying to make it past this stage.
You almost did.
4 seconds left. You got 10 made out of 11. Yeah, literally, your last one was just about to scroll up the bottom. You would have had it.
So if you had actually moved that last one a little further, I think you would have had it. All right. And it's also got a really nice attract screen, something that you don't see a lot in Coco games.
A
Yeah,
little
usually
too
it's just a title
busy to
screen.
me. Yeah, to me, the title screen's a little bit too busy.
This is probably the only way I'm going to see some of those extra shapes like TVs and stuff too. So Hey, that was a cool pick. I hadn't played that game in quite a while myself, and I do remember I did like it. I played it a fair bit when I was younger. I did used to know about the panic button.
Yep. So, yeah, is Sloopy still on the call? I see.
I don't know. He might be.
Okay. Did you want to talk about how we did the live show this week? And I will play a video from that.
If I must.
You must.
Okay, then I will. We didn't have an officially scheduled CoCoTALK game on Challenge Live this week. We had an impromptu one Friday evening, which was quite popular. We had 6 people joining us. And
I think we actually had more than 6. We just had 6 people playing.
Yeah,
we also had some people just in talking.
Yeah, they don't count.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had rage quit this thing before the show started.
Yeah.
You
We had 6
pre-rage quit.
people. We had 6 people playing at once, but we had up to 8 or 9 people in the channel talking.
And how many of those people were swearing at the game?
12. Some of them were even using foul language. But yeah, it was a pretty successful game. Fun was had by some, and
sheer hatred by others.
Enjoyment was had by all. And it was generally a good time. It was so popular that people actually started playing other games towards the end.
One person played another game close to the end.
Yeah, well, that's more than none. That's someone. Some. So, but yeah, it was a pretty successful show, considering it wasn't scheduled or anything. It was just impromptu.
And we didn't do the regular scheduled show because it was Thanksgiving down in the States. American people had this Thanksgiving thing to do. So
all of us Canucks and Aussies and Europeans are all ready to go, but no.
We don't thank anyone.
Yeah, the only real issue was there was a couple people cheating on the show last night. One guy was like just piping in the other's video and sending it back out his own stream. But other than that, everything was good.
Certainly wasn't any Canadians getting exactly the same scores throughout the
the
night.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't name names, but the Canadians know who they are. So,
looking at my score, you knew I didn't cheat.
Yeah, it was good fun, and there was sharing of strategies, such as they were. Unfortunately, the big winner was there, but didn't show any of his strategies. I think that was very selfish of him. I won't name names, Dave, but Mr. Ladd should know who I'm talking about. So next week we will be on our regularly scheduled Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. And there we will be playing another great Coco game.
I guess that's my cue to talk about that, is it?
Which, back to you, Ken. What are we playing next week?
Oh, well. Let me see something here.
Come on,
you haven't even opened the envelope yet?
And this is a teaser of what next week's game will be.
Oh, that's a Terry Steen game, I believe. We better see if we can get him on the show.
Yeah.
That's not the new math tutor.
That doesn't look
We're
like
not going to have
spectacular.
fun with our math tutors this week.
Why? I liked my math tutor.
Which version of Scriptsit is this?
This doesn't look like spectacular calculator.
What is spectacular? You can see all the cells lining up there. That's where you punch the numbers in. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It must be a binary version because they're pretty small cells. Just uses on-off bits.
Besides me and Ken, does anybody know the name of that one? And if you guys that were here for our Terry Steen interview, you should know it because we did talk about it.
It's Gray Lady.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, well, I will show the title screen then.
I believe that's buff, not gray. Able Builders.
So that is Able Builders, and it's in the vein of your
Popcorn Kaboom.
Popcorn Kaboom type game where you the difference with this one is that every time you miss one of the rivets that are dropping, the guy drops down a level, gets closer and closer to you. So rather than having a number that you can miss,
and you lose your catching platforms, you have one catching platform.
you have one catching platform, and the dropping platform moves down unless you catch a whole bunch in a row, and then it will move up, and you can actually squish the guy at the top. And
maybe we switch back to the screenshot of the actual game there, Ken, just so when you describe it, they can see what we're talking about.
Can I? Just give me a second here.
Don't mean to put you on the spot, but well, maybe a little bit.
I can just give me a second here. There. Where is it? There. Okay, so there's the guy at the top. He's dropping rivets down at you, and you have to catch them at the bottom. And if you miss, then the platform that he's on moves closer and closer, so you have less time to react to him dropping. And if you catch a bunch in a row, it will move up.
You can shove it back up. Yeah.
You can shove it back up, and you can actually eventually squish him at the top. And we will play on level 5, because it starts on level 10 if you don't do anything, and that's a little bit too hard. Level 1's a little bit too easy, so we'll start at level 5. Split the difference.
Okay.
So that people have a little bit of a chance to actually do some stuff.
Yeah. And for those who don't know the history or watch the Terry Christine interview, I will mention this was not a commercially sold game per se. It was actually one of the magazines, the tape magazines that came out, like T&D and Chromosat. I don't remember off the top of my head which one this is from. I think it's from T&D. But it was one, like, it was a monthly subscription. So you got some, 10 random programs. You had some utilities and educational stuff. And then, a couple games. Terry published quite a few of his games that way. He had a few that were commercially sold, but quite a few were on T&D.
And he actually talked about that in the interview we did with him a while back. And so you can reference that if you like.
Yeah. I don't think he gave any tips, though, if I remember.
No, he didn't.
But we'll see if we can approach him, maybe have him as a guest either on the live gameplay itself or maybe on the show next week to kind of talk about the game development of this particular game. So
yeah. Okay, now something else I wanted to mention about the Game On Challenge. I wasn't on last week, which was when I was going to make this announcement, but now it's only 1 week away. So next weekend, we're actually going to be playing a new game by some Australian guy.
Neutroid?
I'm not sure. It's something about a kangaroo trying to learn to swim or something, or it's Jumping Joey. So if you have not bought your copy of Jumping Joey from Nick Marentes yet, then
highlight Rick Euland there, Mark, because he's actually got one. Oh, okay. So does Terry. I'm jealous for you guys haven't got mine yet.
Yeah, I haven't gotten mine yet either.
I haven't even bought mine yet. So
I haven't gotten mine either. I haven't.
Have you opened it? Have you opened it up yet, Rick?
He doesn't want to destroy the value.
You're muted.
I just want to see how the instructions printed out inside.
Rick, you're muted.
Wow.
You made him open it. He destroyed the
amazing
value.
discourse has been lost on everyone.
If there's anyone's got an open one, if I could have a look at the instructions.
Terry, is yours open already, or
no? Doesn't that void the warranty?
You're one of those collector types.
I'm going to void my warranty here.
You void the warranty if you cut it open.
So if somebody wants to put a link up to Nick's site where we can actually buy this into the chat, then
I think I can handle that. Give me a moment.
Okay, is it readable?
I have it on speed dial myself.
Actually, pretty good quality.
Is it in English?
Oh, good.
Is it in Australian or English?
You got to flip it upside down there, Rick. We're looking at it.
I'm holding it upside down.
Oh, okay.
No, that's good. I was worried that the printing would be too small on the.
No, it's pretty good.
That looks good, yeah.
And nicely done. They use that shrink film that you can buy on Amazon and use with a hairdryer instead of a shrink machine. But,
I'll also put a link in the Game On Challenge channel where you can buy this.
Yeah, and it's sold two ways. Like what Terry and Rick are holding up is the Coco Arcade, which is a 3-pack of Coco 1 and 2 games that Nick has done recently, including Jumping Joey. So you get 3 games in one. But you also can buy it as a digital download for cheaper if you're not a collector and you just want the game to play.
If you want the Jumping Joey on its own, yeah.
Yeah. And Nick will send you an electronic copy. Now, Nick, you have a bit of an announcement, I guess, for a revision that we should probably tell
that's
people
right.
about.
Ever since when it was released for manufacture, unfortunately, the copy that went out, after the copy went out, I found a bug dealing with the use of the game on a Coco 3 when run on a Coco 3 with a Gimme 87, the later Gimme. It has a discrepancy there somewhere where the screen flashes intermittently.
Good.
It works fine on a Coco 1, 2, a Coco 3 with an 86 Gimme, on everything bar an 87. Yeah, Gimme X. And what's that other thing? That Coco VGA. But on an 87 Gimme has a bit of a problem. Obviously something that they changed in the 87 Gimme, which I didn't know of, and only
subtle
found
timing
out
thing
afterwards.
or something.
So there is another update for it, which I've emailed out to everyone, and everyone who buys a copy of the game from here on, they will get the digital, the updated copy emailed to them. So, and that's I just call it version 1.1. If you have a Coco 1, 2, 3 with an 86 Gimme, you won't notice any difference.
And this shows are still going to.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Nick, it runs really well on my Gimme X. It's a fun game. Great job.
Yeah, it does. It worked quite well. Curtis found out for me.
Yeah, and the Coco VGA, I tried both.
Yeah,
question in the chat if Jumping Joey runs on a Dragon.
It does. It does. It runs on both Dragon 32 and 64, but the music, because of another bug in the Dragon 64, the music doesn't play very well because of some hardware problem in the Dragon 64. If you have a Dragon 32 or a modified Dragon 64 to fix the bug, it works fine. It runs at 50 hertz though, so it's slightly slower because it runs at 50 hertz on a PAL Dragon. But it does work, yeah.
I thought it was cool you put the Dragon on the box copy.
Yeah, and the disc that it's supplied on was put together for me by Kieran of Exraw fame. It's a dual access disc. It works on a Coco and a Dragon.
Yep, so same disc. You don't have to swap discs or anything.
Same disc, yeah. The same disc works on both, thanks to Kieran. He's the Dragon master. So I thought get the best person for the job, and he did a good job. And of course I have to mention Buck Owens, who is a absolute game playing tester pro. He just plays the game so well, and I've uploaded his video on my website so you can see what the game is like right up to level 5. So for the game challenge, you might want to watch the video to get some tips on how the pros play. So because Buck Owens is an absolute pro, and that's why he didn't play the last week's game on Game Challenge so much. He was playing Jumping Joey a lot.
Well, he was doing more than that too. Like I definitely wanted you to mention that because he's been doing a lot of playtesting for you. That's where the glitch was first discovered on the 87 Gimme.
Most of the bugs were found by him. So
And then he also played Paul Thayer's recently released Kokobon and completed that game and is already designing his own levels for it now. So he's a game playing
absolute
machine.
Freak. He's a freak of gameplay.
And in the chat, he's asking if the physical media will come out with a new version.
No, well, see, I haven't got control of that. That's the problem. Once I send it, I have to resend it to get the updates done. Yeah, I thought, well, most people are probably going to leave it sealed anyway because it's a collectible, and I email the main games anyway, so everyone gets the new version, but they keep the collectible.
Well, then why worry about the instructions if no one was going to read them anyway?
That's right. But I mean, for those that do, I just like the idea that the printed instructions do look good. You get the instructions as well if you download it, but you get a nice color printout in the package. And I was just worried because I had to cram in a lot of text on that one page that they give me.
I have these.
Yeah.
Yeah, where? Whoops, you're muted. You're muted, Curtis.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say all the hardware guys on the panel, they got those big magnifying glass things, so they're fine.
Well,
Oh,
that's
right,
true,
yeah. Put on my hood.
Yeah, I've got a USB microscope if needed.
Yeah, they didn't skimp on the print quality. It's not,
Yeah, they do produce a good product. I mean, their color printing, the covers and the instructions, and the CD. It's all well professionally printed, and they shrink wrap it. So that's why I say it's a collectible. For those that want a collectible item, it's a collectible. But I do send the digital copy of Jumping Joey out to everyone who buys a CD or the digital copy, of course.
Also, Rob is mentioning in the
Except for
chat
Rob.
that he's placed an order, but he hasn't gotten the electronic copy yet. I'm assuming he must have just done that, or did you miss one?
Oh.
Maybe.
When did he send the order?
He hasn't really said there.
Default spam filters love.
Or he could be lying and trying to just scam a free copy off you. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Everything I've ever bought from Nick has ended up in my spam filter. So
yeah, that's right.
That's good.
Okay, I've got an email just come in from someone, so maybe that's his. I'll check it out and send it to him ASAP.
Says November 18th.
Oh, that's ages ago. I did send it. Hang on. Anyway, keep going, and I'll look it up.
Check your
and
spam filter, Rob.
Yeah, it's in your spam, man.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll check that as well.
What a fitting
Is
place
that-
for it.
Rob, Rob who? Rob Inman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did send
Yes.
it. I posted it on the 19th.
Australian time.
Australia. That's right. So that means the 18th in the US.
He said it wasn't spam. Sorry.
I can send the same email again.
No, he said he
I
found
found
it. He found it.
I
It went,
found
went
it.
to his
Where was it?
spam. Your reputation
Ah.
precedes you, Nick, is what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why you're so good at designing trash cans, because that's where every correspondence you send out goes to.
That's right. They go into the trash can. I've got them well trained.
Yeah. So, hey, cool. We've got next week, we got 2 games announcements for the Game On Challenge. We've got Able Builders for next week, and then followed by Jumpin' Joey. The week after that.
On the Ables, I do want to make one note. You cannot use the digital joysticks with it. So make sure that you actually have a proper analog joystick.
Yeah, that's right, because the position of the joystick is how far over you're on the screen,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like Popcorn
So-
or some of the other games like that, yeah.
Yeah, I just figured I'd mention that because I just was trying to play it and I'm like, oh.
This is when you might have to dust off your Black Beauty and your real Coco computer to play.
Now, Ken, I got a question for you. Are we still toying with the idea of maybe changing the Game On segment a little bit, where we play the game for a couple weeks or 3 weeks, and then?
In the new year, I was going to actually talk about that in the Discord stuff afterwards. So
cool.
So there will be a little bit of changes if everybody's okay with it to the Game On Challenge.
So are we going to have overlapping games, or are you just going to dedicate?
Yeah, we're
like
going to
2 or
have
3 weeks for
overlapping
single?
games.
Oh, okay.
So there'll be at any one time there'll be more than one game going. So when you do the live game, if there's a game that you particularly don't like, you can play the other one or any game you want. And this way, if there's a game that you like, you can actually spend more time playing it and trying to get a better score than just the 1 week.
Yes, because the Game On Challenge isn't confusing enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a good idea. I like it.
Well, we've tried it a little bit before when we tried to do like an adventure game or something like that you can't really.
Yeah. And
use
this
as a
way we
challenge.
could do adventure games more but then you'd still have other games going on at the same time. So
Yeah. Or you could just pick 2 arcade games and make it a double head. Maybe 2 of the same, a clone of the same arcade game or something like that, so people can actually compare them at the same time too.
Yeah.
Lots of
Or have-
opportunities.
But it's going to be
We'll have-
staggered. So there'll be one new game every week, but
that
that game will go on for
3 weeks. Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was wondering.
That
yeah.
way it's always fresh rather than just 2 weeks of the same.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah, good
right,
idea.
yeah.
Good idea.
Grant, when was the last time you played a Game On Challenge?
It's been a while, but unfortunately, I've been really busy with work coming up. But with my surgery coming up, I will have plenty of time.
Okay, then your opinion will count.
Oh, thanks, Louise. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Cool. So, do we want to go? We probably should have a commercial break because I haven't really had one yet. And
yes,
then
I
do
need
we-
coffee.
And do we want to go into news and Game On news stuff after that, or do we want to go into project updates, acquisitions first?
Nobody signed up for project and updates, so.
Okay. so
Well,
we can just go in.
I did.
Okay, well,
You did?
Ron's
I've
garage.
got one too.
Oh,
All right. Let me start my list.
Oh, sorry.
Who was the other person? Fred.
So
Ron-
far we've got
Ron and
Ron,
Frederick.
Ron, Fred, and David. You said you had one too?
no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
David doesn't count anyway.
Hey,
He can count.
Okay.
Yeah, put me
Commercial?
down for next week for updates.
Okay. Well, if you can roll a commercial, Ken and I can run off and get a beverage.
All right. Here we go.
Good morning, Coco Land. This is Brian Schubring with Music Man here at the Coco Fest. Having fun, fixing issues, and making things roll, and making lots of sound. Have a great day, guys.
The music is back. The mini ice drum available now, only from Retro Innovations. Go the number 4retro.com.
As you're enjoying CoCoTALK, we also want to remind you about the Coco Discord server. This is a place where people come to connect, to ask questions, to provide answers, to share information, and to socialize. So when you're done, why don't you head on over to the Coco Discord server and we'll continue the conversation there. The easy to remember link is discord.cocotalk.live. See you on Discord.
Let the Radio Shack TRS-80 put the world of color computing into your home. Instant loading program packs turn any color TV into an exciting game arcade. And there's more. The color computer is an educational aid, a home management tool, an up-to-the-minute electronic information service. The programmable, expandable TRS-80 color computer from $399 only at Radio Shack, the biggest name in little computers.
At GSoft, we make games for the TRS-80 color computer, TRS-80 MC10, and Dragon computers. Our basic games cover the range of genres from arcade, to text adventures, to simulations, to 3D dungeon crawls. This is our latest puzzle game from Japan, Fruit Panic. So come on and drop by our website and download our latest games.
And sorry, Tari Leaf, I cut you off before you're done.
Okay.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Shall do. Just making sure I have sound turned on. Okay, you guys are seeing that, I presume?
Yes.
Rev it up. It's a Grand Prix Challenge on the Coco Show, episode 38.
So, just to mention there that the new episode of the Coco Show is dropped from the Amigos, and they're covering Grand Prix Challenge, which was one of Dave Dye's first games for the Coco 3. I have to say they came to the same conclusion roughly that I did. That it's not one of his best efforts, but to give him some slack on that, it was one of the first games they did for the Coco 3 period. So they were just learning the new hardware like a lot of other people were. And for those of you who've not seen them before, it's basically a super sprint style game with up to 3 players.
Requires a Color Computer 3.
You can kind of see it's nice and colorful. Definitely a Coco 3 only game. There's 20 tracks or 22 tracks or something. There's quite a few tracks to choose from. Some with bridges, things you can pick up wrenches, etc. to power up your car. It's a fun game. I found the steering a bit odd. It almost felt like it was meant for a steering wheel attachment. We know Dave Dye's did bring out an adapter for the Sega Master System light gun games and stuff. So I don't know. I forgot to ask him that during the interview if I remember correctly. Oops. But anyway, the new episode is dropped, and they've announced that their next challenge or their next episode is going to be a certain Nick Moreni's game that we just talked about. So they will be recording that. I think they've switched now to doing Friday, so they alternate most of the shows. The Amiga show is every week on Fridays, and then they right after the Amiga show is recorded, they record the live version of their various other shows with the Atari, etc., Spectrum. So the Coco Show, I think, is about 3 or 4 weeks in. I don't know if Alan Murphy or David Ladd, if you guys remember what time or what date they've got that specified for with Christmas holidays.
I can never keep up with it because they keep moving it around like your favorite show on the old TV networks.
Anyway, look forward to that one, Nick. When I find out, I'll let you know because we'll be sure to have you in the chat like we usually do during theirs, so they can ask questions.
Okay.
Or we just slam you in general, one of the two.
Yeah, that's right. Anything that entertains.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that juices sales. So that, like I said, the new episode's dropped. Probably this is a game we've not done on our Game On Challenge yet, so that's another one I guess we could try, though it's more meant to be multiplayer. This might be a better one to do it a Game On Challenge live at Coco Fest, hint or something. Next up, we have Chris Poacher here, and he's this is part of the Microdeal group, the 8-Bit Years. This is a group that he runs on Facebook, and it's private. You have to submit it to get an invitation to it, basically. And this is a kind of an interesting one. So Ziggy, which is a graphical adventure game, put out by Spectral Associates here in the States and Canada, and I think it even might have some speech sound spec support. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he's had the original version that was sold for the Dragon. You can see it on the case there and also the tape. But what's unique here is that this is a second copy he got, and this now includes the hint sheet. This was normally sold by mail order from Microdeal directly, and you have to solve the hint sheet. The hint sheet is not in plain English. And I'll see if I can maybe zoom it up here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So there's a table here. It's basically a substitution cipher, and then you get these weird looking text strings. So you can only pick the ones you want to have solved that you haven't solved yourself if you're really stuck. And then you can actually translate it. So you have to do some effort to translate it type thing to do the cheat. So kind of interesting because these are quite rare to find still around because they were not included with the games. You had to order them separately and pay for them. So I imagine that, if 30 people bought the game, maybe 5 would have bought this hint sheet. So these are pretty rare. So I'm glad he found that and posted it up. And then Paul Shoemaker's been quite busy this week here. So it looks like he's converting a new game to the Coco. Originally, it was released in Creative Computing Magazine in 1979. So this predates the Coco itself, called Camel. And he's got some animations. He's got 2 videos, one he put up early in the week and another one he just put up last night, where he's enhancing it, because the original version, I think, is pretty well just text. So I'll show the first one here, which shows you some of the animations. Kind of reminds me of Sands of Egypt a little bit. But I think it's more of along the lines of like an Oregon Trail style game, I'm thinking. So that's the animation of the camel walking. And then the later one he did has various positions of the camel sleeping and, dying and that kind of thing as the game progresses type thing. There he's sitting content. There is after New Year's party. And that's the part that really reminds me of Sanjay, of the chewing camel. And he's got some scrolling background there too, even multi-plane. So that looks like a cool game. I'm looking forward to that. Paul's done some really cool stuff, and he uses a lower res mode, which means it doesn't take as much RAM. I think he's using P mode 1 equivalent, and he always makes some interesting stuff here. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And it looks quite enhanced from the original text version. And then another one he decided to do is he's going to be producing the winter edition of Ghost Rush. So he's done the regular version, then the Dragon version, the Coco 3 version, the Coco VGA version, the Halloween edition version, which was just out a couple months ago or a month ago. And now he's got the winter edition. And this is one of the few times where the second palette set for the Coco 1 and 2's P Mode 3 with the white, cyan, magenta, and orange actually works pretty good. And of course, as he's done on the Halloween edition, he's changed the music too to be a bit more Christmassy. And he's got the animations here. So I'll let him play some sample gameplay. I can't remember if he's actually uploaded this yet or not. I did a look at it earlier in the week, and I didn't get a chance to double check to see if he has uploaded yet. So if he's in the chat, he can let me know if he has, but it should be up shortly if it's not. I like the hot chocolate and the wine and stuff too. And the background graphics with a deer and the evergreen tree and falling icicles.
But there's no snow in Australia right now.
No. He needs to do an Australian themed one.
Yeah, you should actually. I'm going to let it play here until he gets to the 3rd level, because then you'll see what the Pac-Man, what it got replaced with.
I think an Australian one would be confusing with everything upside down. Would everything be falling from the top, from the bottom up?
Actually, yeah. You should change it so things are going from the bottom up.
I like he's got the frosty head instead of the Pac-Man, even with the nose chomping away there. That's kind of cool. Anyway, so look forward to that coming out. The Christmas themed version of Ghost Rush, which I think he did a really good job, and it's one of the better uses of that palette. There's not too many I can claim that for. Skiing is one, I guess.
That's a gingerbread buddy there.
Yeah, and he had a cup of hot chocolate for the one before that. I don't know what the other levels contain, but yeah, it's a nice skin for it, and the nice Christmas theme music to play as well. Next up, we've got some Jim Gary here. So he's released a race demo game. Now, if you remember last week, we covered the Decruve Alice demo tutorial, which was kind of a thing that came with the Alice MC10 clone. That kind of explained how a computer worked, had some interactive stuff to show you how binary worked, etc. It also included a small little semi-graphics racing car game. So Jim basically took that, translated it to English, because of course the original's in French. And then he upgraded a bit with better key controls, because the original one was just using in key, and you had to sit there and tap the key to move repeatedly. So we changed it to use the peaks, etc., that you can actually read the keyboard, continuously hold the key down. So I'll just play a little bit because it's basically a fairly simple racing car game. But this was kind of a freebie that came with the Alice, apparently. And for any of you with an MC10 or an Alice can download that from his his site. Now, I was going to ask, this is the type of game I remember I wrote one like this in the Apple II at school. Then I wrote one like this in the Coco, where you basically just drawing the track and you scroll. Is that something that almost everybody that's ever written a basic program or tried to write a game has done one of these? Like who on the panel here has actually written a game along this line? Maybe not exactly the same, but
in 3 different computers, 4 different computers.
yeah, or even just the Coco for that matter. But I know I did. It sounds like you have too, Rick.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Road Race from the TRS-80 programs book, and then you decide you want to start making your own and modifying it.
The nicest one I did was the 99.4A because you could define characters, so you could actually define a car character.
I did a skiing game which was similar to this, except it was in all text mode. I didn't use any semi-graphics or anything. But yeah, similar idea though.
Yeah. 60 in the chat, Kieran, he said, yeah, I did this for pretty much everything I encountered back then, including the Z88, which I'm not even sure what that is. Or maybe it means a Z81. No, maybe not.
No, there is a Z88.
What is that? He said there's not much vertical space on a Z80. I'm not familiar with that machine.
No, it's a little LCD screen, like a Tandy 100, but I haven't got much other information. I actually have one, but it's packed away.
Oh, so he's got like 8 lines or something.
Yeah.
His display.
So it's like a Model 100 or something like that.
Yeah, something like
cheaper
that.
and smaller, I'm guessing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but yeah.
And Nick, did you ever write one of these for the Model 1 or anything when you started?
No.
You just skipped right ahead to making commercial games, you bugger.
I think it was already made for the Model 1, I think.
No,
I might be able to find my game that I wrote. I'll have to see if I can find it.
No, well, yeah, I did sort of write a game, something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, there was like this, the blackjack game, and like the bomber game. Those were the 3 games everyone wrote in BASIC.
How about the biosphere or the BIOS? Your what is it called?
I'm just thinking the 3 things you could write in BASIC really simply.
Biorhythms.
That's it. Yeah, biorhythm.
Yeah, I did do a skiing one like this too. I forgot about that, but yeah, I did that. I used the up arrow or the up thing to look like trees. You're going through the trees is what I was trying to do. So apparently you're always skiing on green snow. I don't know what that means. I just thought it would be very interesting to see you. And it sounds like that was a comment. It wasn't just me.
No, it's the yellow snow you got to worry about.
Yeah, thank God we don't have yellow trees on the Coco 1 VDG. Okay, next up, this is a kind of a follow-up. Paris Rat and Keys Von Oss have released the next AGD enhanced, Super Sprite FM Plus enhanced AGD game pack. This is pack number 6, so another 4 games. That puts them up to 24, I believe, now. So if you have one of these Super Sprite FM Plus boards from Dragon Plus Electronics, which we'll have a bit of an announcement a little bit later on too, there's another 4 games here that support the enhanced graphics and the enhanced sound. So here you can see Dirty Dozer, which looks pretty colorful platformer. And the second one here is called Forward to the Past. It actually has a little digitized photo there. You can definitely see the graphics, color especially is very much enhanced from the original VDG chip. There's Magical Boom. It's pretty nicely drawn shapes there. And then the Hair-Raising Adventures of Mr. Hair. And I remember this title from the first time we covered it a few years back. And apparently from a few people's discussion on a couple of Discords I've seen, that actually was a pretty popular one out of the AGD games that were released. I don't remember actually playing it, but apparently it's one of the better ones. Anyway, it's good to see that they're coming out with this. I know I mentioned last week they're also doing an impromptu survey for anybody that is familiar with the 350 games that are in the AGD games library, of which ones they should try converting next over to the enhanced Super Sprite FM Plus platform with enhanced sound and graphics. So if you go on to the Dragon group on Facebook, you can actually respond to, I can't remember who posted the original one. It might have been John Whitworth himself, I think, that posted the fact they want to take a list of games and then they'll have a vote on some of the top ones for which ones Para and Keys should convert next.
No, these won't run on a regular Coco.
Well, if you want the original black and white versions, they will. But these ones, yeah, they require the Super Sprite FM Plus board, which will work on a Dragon 32, Dragon 64, Coco 1, 2, or 3. Next after that. Now, I don't know if anybody here on the panel is familiar with this UG Basic. I don't really want to pronounce it UG Basic, but maybe that's what they mean. I don't know. But Erico has actually been fiddling with it. It's a modern isomorphic basic that can compile to a whole bunch of 8-bit platforms. Now, we've had multiple other cross-platform compiles. We got the Interputer guys. We've got, can't remember the other guy's name off the top of my head. But we have a few cross-platform development systems here. But they're normally more C-like, et cetera. This one actually is basic. And Erico's uploaded this little version of his semi-graphics fighting game that was compiled using this specifically for the Dragon 64. Now, I haven't had a chance to download it and try it myself. I don't know if anybody here in the panel has or if anybody in the chat has. But I'm kind of curious to see how well this works. And Erico himself mentions they're going to be starting to really test it and to see what it's capable of in December. And we're going to actually have him and Luciano on the show to talk more about the Brazilian retro computer show that we saw live a few weeks ago, but this time with nice, consistent bandwidth. So we can go over some of the CP400 machines and some of the peripherals, et cetera, but also to talk to them about maybe what they're finding out about this engine. Has anybody on the panel or has anybody in the chat had any experience with the UG Basic?
Not me.
There's some comments on the Z88 here. So it was made after Sinclair was sold to Amstrad. And Tom Eric thinks it was actually Sir Clive's next venture. I know the chat's a little bit behind us here, but nobody else in the panel has heard of this or tried this?
I'd
Well,
not
if any of
heard
you-
of it, but the my thought when I saw some of the stuff Erico initially was posting about it on the Discord was that this is probably, hopefully, our way to get the Coco version of his new version of the Outhouse. So,
Oh, yeah, that's right, because he made one that they made for the PC, didn't he?
yeah.
Okay. Well, if any of you have Dragons or are familiar with running the Dragon emulator like XRoar and want to give this a try, because it's a free download off the Dragon group on Facebook, and maybe report back next week, I wouldn't mind getting your impressions or maybe even a little quick live demo to see what this thing's capable of. So I'm not familiar with it. Next up, my drunk sibling on YouTube, which is Tim and AJ, of course, they decided to play another Coco game this week, so they're playing Color Computer one-on-one basketball. And why Tim's sitting in basket fruit, I have no idea.
Another sibling rivalry.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I am too. We're playing an oldie but a goodie for the Color Computer.
I have no idea that it's old or new because I've never played it until today when we practiced.
Yeah, we're playing one-on-one.
It's basketball, which admittedly, I'm not a follower of basketball in the real world, but I do know who Larry Bird is because Mom was like in love with him.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Anyway, you can watch the rest of the video to watch them actually play. That's actually a much closer game than I was expecting. They almost tied. Well, I guess you can't tie officially, but there's also this looks like when Tim for the first time steals the ball from AJ, the look of sheer happiness on his face when he pulls that move off was well worth the watch. So definitely go check out the video. Of course, they're going to be at Coco Fest with some live versions of Sibling Rivalry as well. So we look forward to that. I don't know what games they're going to be picking. If you guys have any suggestions for simultaneous multiplayer games, whether cooperative or competitive, maybe make a list at Coco Fest in April there. We'll see if we can get them to try a few of them out.
What was this game, OS 9?
No.
No,
it did boot with the DOS command, but that was just a quick cheaty way to not have to type run star.
Maybe that's why I thought it might have been.
Yeah, I think it did need 64K though, if I remember. Or maybe it was 32. No, I think it was 64. And of course, it was programmed by Steve Bjork, so for Electronic Arts. This one here, Dave Veery, who's been doing a whole bunch of patches for RGB monitors for Coco 1 and 2 artifact games. And it's also done some patches for games recently to fix some bugs and stuff too. which I'm glad to see he's doing that. Some other people in the community are taking that up there, because Nick and I have done a few of those, but we both have our own projects we like to stick around with too. So we don't get into that phase of things too often. But anyway, he decided to do a patch to Donkey King, changing the palettes and setting it up for the Coco 3. And he chose a palette that's a bit different than the original Donkey Kong too. Like, he kind of made it look a bit more unique on its own. It's actually not a bad palette, I thought. I was going to play a little bit of it here and see what you guys think of the colors he chose. I mean, other than that, it's the same game. The one problem with it doing Donkey King as an example of this, let me just leave the sound here, is that the text was designed as P mode 4 black and white. So it does artifact, but it tends to over artifact in this case, since pieces of it are almost unreadable. But that's just the way that mode works. So, what do you guys think of this more yellowish red palette than the sort of mix of red and blue?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah,
I like it.
I like it.
Different, like it.
It's like an old timey wood level.
Yeah.
Yeah, those barrels look really wooden.
Apparently, it doesn't help you stop dying though. So
doesn't Mario kind of look like Bagman now?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a me, Bagman.
Yeah, no, I like that color set.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm glad that he actually took the opportunity not just to try to make it more arcade-like. I mean, the original was pretty close, considering what the artifact color limitations were. But he actually decided to, try something a bit new. Now, he didn't play through every level, so I'm guessing from the fact that he did get to level 2, but it's the same colors. I'm assuming he just made the game the same. I didn't know if he was planning on changing it so the palettes would change as you went between levels, which he has done in some other games, so where he's actually had the palettes change as the game progresses. And there's probably not much room left in the Donkey King image for that. So that was cool. That's it for the Game On news this week. I'll switch over to the regular.
Here's an intro.
Okay, I'll let you go first.
Gotta set the screen up. Caught me asleep. Here we go.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Oh.
Notice a difference?
No,
he still looks like a Muppet.
Yep.
Actually, no, I was trying to get my window brought up here because I had it kind of tucked down under so I couldn't see it. I didn't really notice anything.
I got rid of the Muppet.
What's that?
I got rid of the Muppet.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was reading the news.
Notice that.
And 60 says, I mean, it's fine, but everyone knows the King plays in black and white because, of course, they're used to the PAL version. That's his comment on Dave's palette change. Sorry, the first one up here, Color Computer Programming actually does some playing around and learning how to use the play command as opposed to sound command, which he's used in some previous videos. And I won't play the whole thing because it's 42 minutes of discovering how things work. And he basically duplicates the, it's not a piano, it's a keyboard instrument. I can't remember which one it is from the In My Life solo from the Beatles. And of course, since the Beatles are copyright crazy here, even though it's generated Coco, I don't want to play it just in case. But basically, it goes through learning how the play command works, how tempos work. When you're switching octaves, the fact that it switches, I think, at middle C. So even if you're thinking alphabetically A through G or whatever, the octave will change between B and C, I think it is, like flip completely the opposite direction you're expecting. So you kind of have to adjust for that. So basically transcribes over the fast solo from the original Beatles tune here. And you can kind of gradually watch as he learns it and goes through it, which is pretty cool. Go ahead.
If we did get a strike, then that would be a badge of honor that it was that close.
Well, it's also 40 some odd minutes long, so I'll let you guys check it out. But I always like his because
the news is long enough.
Yeah, exactly. I like his videos because he's learning as he goes. As I mentioned before, that's one I know Alan Huffman likes that too, because you get to almost re-experience discovering the stuff yourself if you have learned some of these techniques yourself. Because you sometimes have that, oh wow, I just figured it out moment. And it kind of reminds me of those. I don't have those too often anymore because I'm dumb now. But Let me go check that out. This one I will play the entire thing. So this is Pedro Pena, known as Rocky Hill on the old YouTubes, and I think he was in the chat earlier. Don't know if he still is. But this is his assembling Ralph, which is his nickname for a 263134B Coco 2 motherboard. That's the T1 true lowercase inverse video capable VDG. That is a different pinout than a regular VDG chip. And this is his working on the duplication of the board so that we'll have some more ways to get replacement motherboards if the old ones die. So I'll play this right through.
I thought the 27B was the only T1 Coco.
I don't know for sure. I don't have any of these, so.
No, there was a 16 and a 64-bit K version.
Was that those two numbers mean?
Yeah, the catalog. That's the catalog numbers. And that would be the which one was like 16K regular basic or 64K extended basic, or any combination of them.
Oh, okay. And I'll let you guys see what the board looks like. He also does a kind of a spot as he goes through, showing when he's added more parts to the board. This is way too much soldering for me. I mean, I can barely handle a single resistor.
Any soldering is way too much for you, Curtis.
Well, yeah.
125, 1526.
Values his hair.
It's pumpkin orange.
Yeah. And testing. Fits in the Coco case. Actually fires up and runs.
Wow.
And as usual with Pedro's stuff, it's publicly available if you want to go get the schematics and actually get your own made. And if say you have a Coco 2 that you got a crack in the motherboard that's just not fixable, well, Coco 2B, I should say, then you grab these designs, actually get one made up and put it together yourself and actually have your Coco 2B up and running again. So it's good we're getting all these, both on the Dragon side. I think it's Julian Hill doing most of those, and then Pedro on our side and some others as well that are working on duplicating every single version of the motherboards so that we can actually start preserving the Coco, because eventually these things are going to wear out, and occasionally something gets dropped or cracked or whatever, and it becomes not repairable. And this way we can keep the hobby going. So thank you,
at what
Ped.
point in the past did this stuff become as a doable thing? Because back in the day we had the Coco, and then at some point they stopped making it, and then for people to think that, geez, we should make a new board, was the technology there to do it in the 90s?
Well, some people have done homemade boards, like completely wire wrap themselves, and you have to be incredibly patient and skillful to do that, which is two things I am not when it comes to anything hardware.
I can narrow it.
Go ahead, Rick.
I can narrow it down to between the late 90s and the late 10, the teens. Before that, it was too much work to draw something like a Coco by yourself. Now, with like KiCad nowadays, it's not impossible. Obviously, people are doing it, but you can scan a design in and proof it, and it would take a team of engineers to do this work 20 years ago. And you can do it yourself now with a PC that's reasonably good. So
wow,
it's
cool.
It's very
yeah,
cool.
because this is happening on all the retro platforms. There's a lot of these replacement boards and replacement parts, et cetera, that they're doing. I mean, replacing custom chips now with FPGA reprogrammable chips to duplicate the functionality of a chip that's no longer made by anybody.
And it's
Like
just a lot easier to have a circuit board produced and and shipped to you, not have to etch it or anything, just in small quantities.
The fact that I can Xerox a circuit board and have my PC figure out the schematic of that circuit board within limits is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, Rick, I think you and Mark Marlette, both in the 90s, I mean, when you guys were making boards, you guys had those little bath things and stuff that you'd have to put it through and actually get it to work. And now you just send the design off to some other company and they send you a batch of 5 for the cost of what it would, one board would have cost you back in the day type thing. And you had to do it all yourself by hand.
Right. I had to draw the schematic and then draw the design, the circuit board in ink on vellum, and then bribed this company up north of Milwaukee to make them for me, so I didn't have to make them all myself in an acid bath. And now I just kind of send a Gerber file to China, and it comes back in a week or week and a half.
Yeah.
Your sound is a little iffy, Pat.
Yeah, it keeps going in and out. I don't know if you got an auto level thing turned on by accident.
Something must be blowing up. Yeah, I've been people have been dissing me all day, or if you just can't hear me. So.
Oh, we hear you. Just it comes in and out. Like it doesn't quit. It just fades and then it's loud and then it fades and then it's loud.
Time for yet another reboot.
Yeah, either that or just hold the mic closer. I guess is the one other thing. It might just be not quite picking you up.
Oh yeah, too much noise from the heater coming on. We are in heater season.
Yes, we are. Mark Siegel in the chat says around 2005, CAD software could do this pretty easy. So that kind of fits. Like you were mentioning, originally in the 1990s, you had some ways of doing it primitively.
You had to buy that in 2005.
Yeah.
Now you can just download it. Sign a GNU license.
Yeah.
Good.
But I really like the fact that this has happened, because now that's one of the reasons I think retro's gotten more popular now, because it used to be you had to eBay and hope you got a working one. And if it didn't work, well, I guess that's a parts machine now. And then you'd have to go find another one and hope that one works type thing. And now we have the ability to actually make a brand new circuit board that duplicates the old one or even adds enhanced functionality to it that's just been made. So it should last for another 20, 30 years type thing. And the price of actually getting like 5 or 10, for sampling, for testing, and even getting them manufactured later is way cheaper than it would have been and way less labor intensive. So I think it's a win all the way around for hardware designers.
And the quality of the board is, equal to what the factory would have been able to do back then.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look like back through this area. This is one that he would have sent in to get printed. I mean, that rivals the stuff Tandy did.
Right?
It might be better.
Yeah, actually.
Just judging by the quality of the stuff I get now.
Everything's socketed.
So a fast 232 board, no silk screen, no solder mask, cost me $5.30 a piece. Nowadays, that would cost me $2 with all the parts on it.
Yeah, like it's insane. 60 says also in the chat, he says, yeah, these days it's both easy and free. Of course, the PCB manufacturer is pricey and getting more politically interesting. Right. That's true. But yeah, I mean, it's way cheaper than it was in the old days and way easier. And now you can do your design in KiCad or some of these other programs, so you don't have to do it all by hand.
What's the idea of the arrows inside the two sockets there?
Is that some electrical thing? I don't know.
I think
point to one.
Yeah, pointing pin 1, which is opposite on those two sockets versus
from the whole rest of the board.
Right.
Oh yeah, because the little notches on the bottom on those instead of the
all
right.
Yeah, just look for the notch. Yeah, that's a good idea to have that pointing towards the notch, since those two are different. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you're just slapping chips in there, you take a look at the first one. Okay, they're all facing this direction.
And burn them up every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. I mean, this is one part of the hobby that's really changed, just like, cross assembling, which I guess we've had that for decades, cross assembling from, say, minis to micros in the early days, et cetera. But the hardware, I mean, the fact you can design your own custom chips basically by using CPLDs and FPGAs, and then how easy it is to do circuit board now, that's totally changed in the last 30, 40 years. Like that's paradigm shifting, I would say. Because now people like Rick and Ed Snyder and Mark Marlette and a bunch of others can actually do all this stuff just on their own and produce a board that looks as professional as what you'd buy straight from a computer manufacturer.
You heard it first on Coco Nation.
Next one. This was a cute one. It's by a YouTuber I'm not familiar with, TCLEM1. So what he did here, and he just labeled it Christmas Music Kaleidoscope, and it's an hour and 20 minutes of Christmas carols played on normal instruments. It's nothing generated by Coco. But for the background graphics, he decided to use audio spectrum analyzers. So I thought that was kind of cool, because you can just let it run in the background if you want it to be Coco themed this Christmas. And you just get to watch it, react to the music. I won't play too much of it because it's too early for Christmas for me. It's still not December.
And it's probably copyrighted anyway.
But Thanksgiving
most Christmas carols are not. They're past copyright. So maybe the performance, it depends.
Exactly. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Looks like a colorful snowflake.
Yeah. But I know like a lot of people put up like the Christmas log playing Christmas carols from YouTube, some 3-hour video or something there. Now we have a Coco themed one. So that's kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah.
It's the Coco.
Now, one thing I have to find that I do have a Coco 1.2 actual floppy somewhere in my 700, 800 floppies here. That was a Christmas themed Coco thing that drew a bunch of, or not drew, but loaded in a bunch of P Mode 4 picture graphics background and had about 5 or 6 4-voice music carols done with Musica or Lyra. And I took a look in the archive. I can't find that same one on there with that certain variety. So I'm going to try to see if I can hunt that down and maybe get it uploaded before Christmas. So people bug and remind me here because I've only got like 4 weeks to do it.
I wrote a program that did the similar thing with a bunch of P Mode 3 and P Mode 4 Christmas scenes that I drew. And then it piped music in from a cassette player through
audio on, motor on type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that was fun. Did that for a while. Still have those programs somewhere.
Yeah, those are fun. And now we've actually got some ways you can actually record the audio onto a WAV file along with the actual program tools. So you can actually run it totally off cassette just by playing it in from an MP3 player or whatever. And actually it will do the audio tracks too. I know some of the Dragon people and some of those educational programs for the Coco, they've got that actually working.
Nice.
Back in the day, I used to buy a cassette that was a loop, and you could play music, whatever songs that would fit on it, because I don't remember how long they were, but it would loop. So it would never end. You just hit play, and it would play.
Yeah, I know Musica had a jukebox program that kind of did that. It was just text-based. It just, you'd select the songs or you say play all, repeat, and you hit key. I'm trying to remember if the one I'm thinking of, like the one I have that has a few graphics and stuff loaded in as well as just Christmas carols. I can't remember if it actually went perpetually forever, if it only played through the song once. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to change, but I'll definitely see if I can find it. It was just one disc and had about 4 or 5 images and 4 or 5 4-voice Christmas carols.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, I know Silver Bells was one of the first songs that played. That's one I remember, but I'd have to find the disc. Unfortunately, my disc labeling is kind of terrible.
Well, here's the determining factor is if the songs are done well, then you like to listen to it over again. If the songs are kind of, then when it ends,
then you stop it.
Okay, yeah, that was good. That's enough.
Yeah. Okay, next up, this was mentioned both on Facebook, which is the post I'm showing here. It was also mentioned on the Coco list. So this is Don Barber. And he says, I made a thing, a USB serial pack for the color computer. It simulates the 6551 ACI interface as the original RC32 pack did, so that all your original Coco software works with it just fine. And he's released the design as open source on his GitHub. And some people in the comments actually tried it. And it works with things like Twilight Terminal by Sockmaster, which is a program, from the sounds of it, I don't think Don had ever seen before, but he was quite impressed with. I'm assuming it would also work with Roger Taylor's NetMate then, too. So if you want to do some ANSI BBSing and stuff here, you could. Now, he does give you a note here saying this is not a USB host. It will not support plugging in peripherals like mice and keyboards. It is a peripheral for a modern PC, so it's meant solely for serial. Now, I'm guessing if you had a serial mouse and you ran a driver that knew how to talk to it on the Coco side, which we definitely had back in the day, I'm sure Rick remembers those, then I think you probably could run a mouse on it if you got like a Microsoft serial mouse. No?
No, because again, that would require the USB host, which this does not support. This is a client device, which means it is the device that plugs into the PC, not the other way around.
Oh, the PC runs it, not
okay. I get you. Darn, I thought there was a loop around it. Any more details on it, David? Because I don't know too much about the project stuff I briefly read, but I think you actually were talking back and forth with them, weren't you?
Yes. So this uses a FTDI 245R chip, which is something I've been looking at for a few years now. It looks like from the PC side as a serial port. No big thing, right?
Yeah.
But on the other end of it, it's not serial. It's actually a 8-bit parallel FIFO, which means you could hook it to the Coco bus with, of course, the appropriate interfacing circuitry, and you could have higher speed data than trying to do the whole serial that you would like with the 6551. since this is emulating the 6551 in spirit, but you're not getting the limitation of trying to CRC check all the bits that are coming across. It's just parallel.
So it's actually cable running faster then, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm believe. And this is the project that I said I wanted to do several years ago, but I was too lazy to actually get off my butt to do it. This is what I wanted to do with creating a physical recreation of the Becker port on the CoCo. But this is better because all the software can use it.
Yeah, like they were running through some of the terminal programs they tried, and they had no problems with any of them. So, I mean, there's quite a few places you can actually log into these days over the net to get to.
So you don't have to dial a number or anything. You just hook up.
Well, no, because this, you plug the USB cable into a PC. The PC sees the serial port. On the CoCo, it's the software sees it as a 6551, even though it's not. And so it's just like a null modem cable. Think of it as a null modem cable.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
But without the limitations of the 6551.
Now you can go into the PC and set the parameters for the USB port, right?
Well, you'd set the parameters, but it shouldn't matter because the baud rate is pointless at this point because it's just the FIFO fills up. If the CoCo sees data there, it will suck the data out of the FIFO, or vice versa. Of course, I doubt that the CoCo could crank enough data out to fill the output FIFO before the PC could drain it. So
yeah. So in the case of NetMate or SOC Masters, it should easily run at 19.2 or equivalent thereof.
Should.
So they just choose the RS-232 pack, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the big thing. It's totally compatible, so you don't have to like patch things or do anything weird. It's just all your old programs you're used to using for the RS-232 pack will just work with this.
So let me. I don't know if he's replied on the Facebook post there. I need to get to the list. Give me a moment. But he did reply to my request on the serial link. So he goes.
While you're looking there, I'm just going to mention that he's actually got on Thingiverse, how to make a duplicate case for it, even for the board, so you can actually make it look like a professional, RS-232 pack, basically, case and all.
So just off the list, from what he goes, because I replied to a post that he had. So he goes, "Thanks, David. Got HDB DOS burned to a ROM and NOS 9 RS-232 booted. Make a read runs at 2 minutes 23 seconds, which I don't know if I would trust the time on that, because when you're doing anything with DriveWire, the interrupts are turned off, which means you're not getting timer counts at all. But that means that DriveWire is working over this device. So, which this is going to be something really important. Ron Klein has been using the RS-232 packs that I modded for him to have HDB DOS in the ROM. And he's been running DriveWire through the RS-232 pack on a CoCo 1 at 115/200 without any issues, which is definitely better than the 38/400 you can normally get on a CoCo 1 with the bit banger. So think of how much more speed you could have with this without the serial limitation.
Cool.
So
I'm glad you're keeping abreast of the story there and talking to him. So please continue. If there's any updates or clarifications you want to add to it later after talking with him, David, let us know.
Well, and the other thing that a lot of people won't realize, which I think he's got listed, if you scroll up on the thing a little bit on the page, the addresses. So you can set with the dip switches the addresses from FF00 to FFFF, which means you can set the address. You could have more than one of these, and you could theoretically have one on the modem the modem pack's address as well, and you could run 2 of these under OS 9 or different things like that.
So could you host a multi-user BBS this way, going through the PC?
Possibly using like what are those, the Lantronix boxes? You could have each, or not Lantronix, sorry, because that's not USB. So you could use a PC routing TCPs to each of the serial ports, and theoretically, yes, you could.
Because I do know, like the AlphaSoft BBS, for example, supported it up to 8 users because we were using it at work. Pieces of it anyway. So that would, you could even set up like a multi-user multiplayer game posted on a Coco going through this to the PC to actually get out to the internet as a whole.
But there's a lot of options I see that this can be used for, just because not only for the serial emulation for the serial devices or software packages, then you could connect to the PC side and use whatever software that you'd want to use there, but the DriveWire side, which I just see huge performance boost using this device.
Cool. Ron, you got a question?
He doesn't make these. He just makes it available for you to purchase and put together yourself.
Dave, do you know?
No, I don't know, but he does have the Gerber so that you can make it.
Yeah, look.
But I don't think he sells it. But again, that's something that you would probably need to go on Facebook and ask him through this thread that he's got there, Ron. So
Yeah.
if it's something that you might be interested in, if he sells it, great. If not, we might have to find someone that might want to make these. And if someone did want to make these, I'd probably suggest after testing, a small batch, maybe then make a large batch with the gold plating. That way you don't have to worry about the corrosion issues.
Retro rewind.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, that's one thing we have a little bit of a break in the community, a tiny bit, I guess, is a lot of the hardware designers just like the designing part. That's the fun part. They don't want to do the manufacturing. And for a lot of us, more software into people, we don't have the capability of building these ourselves. I sure as heck wouldn't want to try. I'd just wreck something. So maybe some of the ones that seem to be a bit more common or more popular, we might arrange for certain hardware manufacturers to make them.
Well, that's kind of how I felt when I designed the PS2 mouse adapter. I was more designing the first one for me because I wanted it, because I was tired of messing with the ball mouse that comes with the Coco. It was very annoying. So
it makes a great defensive weapon, though.
Well, I've got other things that could be used for a weapon, like a bowling ball or
floppy drives.
No, CDs work better because if you just nicely sharpen the outsides and then throw the CD, yeah, you can pretty much cut someone's throat with it. But
now we're getting off topic.
Well, we might have a defense show.
Ken basically says the same thing in the chat there too. He said hardware products are announced and die, and that's one issue. It's the ones that can actually keep up with the manufacturer, or at least arrange for somebody else to do the manufacturing, so they can be a sold item for people that don't have the hardware skills to do these themselves. I mean, just because you have Gerber files doesn't mean I can do anything. I can look at them on the screen, and go, "That's pretty."
Well, I know, like with Mark Overholzer, he's been waiting on parts because there's some parts that are just hard to get at the moment. So,
my last 3 projects have been designed off of things I can buy, not things that I want to build. And
yeah,
that's just where we're at right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's affecting all of us. Anyway, it's a big project, Dave. If you can kind of keep up to date on it, any other things that are happening, whether any tests that have been done, et cetera, what it's all capable of doing, keep us abreast.
Oh, I will, especially if I can somehow manage to acquire one myself.
Okay, next after that, and I believe, Ron, I think you've tested some of these and actually got postings of them on your Ron's Garage page. So Sheldon McDonald has made a version of the Matrix rain effect, which is the text characters kind of floating down the screen. Wrote in machine language. Now, this version actually works on the Coco 1 and 2 on a 32 column screen, which I don't believe has been done before except in BASIC. So I think we showed it just actually in the last couple of weeks. There was a BASIC one, but it basically only does 1 or 2 lines at a time because BASIC's not that quick. So this one here actually will do the multi columns just like the original version. And of course, Sockmaster did the original Coco 3 version. But that's available for download on the Coco Facebook group by Sheldon. And Sheldon's apparently still working on a Genesis game he's working on for 68,000. He's also still working on his hockey game too, I think, if I remember correctly. But if I remember in the comments here, I think this is Sock's version here, isn't this? Yeah.
Yes.
So this is courtesy of Ron. So that's showing the 80 column version. And then I think I've got a video that he did of the actual one here. That's just a 49-second clip here, so I'll just play it in its entirety. You guys can get a little commentary. You can see a little bit of the source code on here as well. And this is using the new tool he's been working on for doing your own projects, which actually will handle multiple CPUs and multiple computers. He's actually got this particular thing working with both the Sega Genesis hardware, designing programs for that as well as the Coco. So play that for a bit. I think it's pretty quiet.
Hello, Sheldon McDonald here again. So I adjusted my matrix program a little bit. So now it's doing 60 of them. I think that's what I was doing last time. But now it looks a little better.
It's a neat effect for those of you who watched the Matrix movie, which is from the late 90s. It's was a pretty cool effect. Simple but cool. All right, if you want to try that out on a Coco 1 or 2, you can download the actual disk image from the Coco group on Facebook.
You need an OS9 screensaver that does that.
There used to be one. Unfortunately, it's one of the things I lost when my hard drive died. So unfortunately, I don't have it anymore, and I haven't seen it anywhere else that I've tried. Have to rewrite it from scratch, I think.
Take the basic version and do it in Basic 09.
Yeah, that would speed it up a bit, especially on the 32 column screen. Okay, this is an announcement from the Coco Crew podcast. Now, this actually affects multiple retro podcasts. What has happened here is that Cyber Ears, which has been their host for the audio podcast, is actually going away. And I don't know the full details of what happened with Cyber Ears. I don't know if it's a money issue or they just get tired of what's going on. But I know the Retro Computer Roundtable podcast is also having to switch off of Cyber Ears for the exact same reason, because basically it's going to be gone. So in the case of the Coco Crew, they've now switched to Anchor FM. So that's where you'd have to go to get your RSS feed to let you know when new episodes are coming out. We were not on Cyber Ears, so that's not something that's going to affect us. Plus, we also have video support and stuff too, which I don't believe Cyber Ears ever had. But just so people are aware of that, and also any of the other retro shows you get in the podcast form, like the Retro Computing Roundtable and multiple other ones, they're all going to have to be switching off. So it's kind of a public information there. Now, Mr. Dave, we mentioned that he did the patch for the Donkey Kong RGB, which you can see down over here on the second row, and he's also been doing some other ones for some of the Game On Challenge we've done recently, including Electron and Stinger. But he's also had some people asking questions about how to use debug commands in EdTasm. Now, he's using Robert Galt's modified EdTasm for the Coco 380 column here, and he's released about 5 videos. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have any commentary, so you're just kind of learning by looking at what he's doing on screen. I think these would actually do better with even a bit of a voiceover, kind of explaining things a bit as well. But basically, it'll show you how to set up the software interrupts and how to basically trigger them off so you can actually get register dumps as you're running code, etc. So if you've never used the debug stuff in EdTasm, it's a good set of little tutorials here, and they're fairly small. They're 4 to 10 minutes basically, showing you exactly how to use that. And I think for the assembly language programs on here, I used it a tiny bit when I was first starting with EdTasm, and then I switched to OS9, and then I can just literally debug from another window where I can peek into the program while it's running. I don't have to set up any software interrupts. But something like this, I think, Nick, you're one of the oddballs. You almost never use this, do you? That's Nick Morandis, by the way.
No, I don't have bugs.
I just about laughed stuff out of my stomach there. But you generally don't do this. You use like palette tricks and stuff like that instead.
Yeah.
And any other of the people on the panel here that have done some assembly program, have you ever used the ZBug stuff?
A little bit.
And did you find it hard to understand, or?
Back in the 80s when I first gave it a whack, yeah. Now, nah, it's all right.
Oh, okay. So if you go to Dave's channel on YouTube, which is Dave and Sharon Veery, he's got a whole bunch of Coco related stuff, as you can see here. If you scroll up a bunch of the game color patches and stuff from his games that he's been designing himself. Does some stuff with the Alice, which I didn't realize he was doing here. He's done some Alice 32 programming as well. And now 5 videos showing you how to use the debug mode in Etasm. Next up, we have Jim Gary again. Now, this is the full demo of the special Alice tutorials / demo program. Now, when I played parts of it last time, that was not all of it. That was about 16, 17 minutes. This one here is 22 minutes long and includes a couple things that I didn't show. I'm not going to play it again here because you guys can go check it out. It's a long video. But it's cool that he converted it to English, so you can actually read it here in North America and Australia. And also cool that it's been resurrected for the MC10, which never actually had it, because it's a pretty nice little demo as we showed last time. Okay, next up, Jim posted this link. This is something I missed. This was actually released on October 31st on the Quantum Bits website, and it's a blog entry called On Retrocomputing Matra Hatchet Alice 90. And this is a pretty extensive article. It's huge and tons of pictures. So he goes through a bit of the history of the MC10, the original Alice, the Alice 32, and then up to the Alice 90. And then he kind of like refurbishes it, and then he does some tests on it. He shows what comes in the package. So here you can see like the original MC10 and the original Alice, which we've pretty well seen before. Some of the artwork they used back then, the carrying case that contained the Alice, which is kind of cool. Like we never saw here, the Alice 90, which is kind of a weird wedge-shaped keyboard. Some articles that were written on it back in the day. This is an unreleased one. This one I've not seen before, the Alice 8000. So this is one they prototyped but never actually manufactured.
It looks a lot like the terminals that they used in France.
Yeah, it does. It reminds me of that, yeah. But they said they had about 250 machines that were produced and then destroyed, though a few did survive. But that's if you're into collecting, that's the rare one to get. It almost looks like a Mac with an external keyboard holes too. But there's also emulators for the Alice 90, so he goes through a little bit about that, and like cassette interface stuff that's shown there. Some quick little demo programs. You can see the enhanced text mode that the Alice 90 had. Some of the enhanced graphics modes here. That's kind of a Pac-Man style game. And then he receives one, and you can see the separate carrying case for the Alice 90, because of course there's different cutouts because the computer's a completely different shape. And then what came with the bundle, including a red cassette recorder and some sample games and programs. But he goes through extensive here, like he goes through every little bit of cleaning it and how to take it apart. Like here's taking apart the keyboard, and it's got the standard Mylar connector like we're used to on the Coco. I'm just going to blur by some of these here because he's got so many pictures. Then he's got the motherboard separated from the keyboard, and then he's washing up the case.
Wow.
And it comes out quite a bit brighter on the newly washed version. Same stupid little screws like we have on the Coco too to take your keyboard apart. It's all in fact, I think these are the exact Coco spongy little things, isn't it? Because even the green spring, which has slightly more tension than the other ones for the space bar, is from the Coco.
That is exactly Tandy's design.
It is.
Yeah. No, I did read that Hatchet or Matra, one of the two, actually did have a contract with Tandy to co-manufacture some of the Tandy stuff. So they actually made their own versions of the Tandy, manufactured on Tandy's behalf, basically. So I'm guessing that's where they got these parts from. They just decided to use it in their own design as well. Because the keyboard itself is quite different, as you can see here. Similar layout, though the brake key's away on the left, where the Alt key would be on a Coco 3, which is kind of different. But they do have the diamond-shaped arrow keys and stuff. And then, of course, it's got all the hotkey commands for basic statements.
And the ZERTY, of course.
And it's got dirt and collects crap, just like the Coco one does. And he goes in and individually washes it all out and scrubs them all down, cleans the Mylar. Gets in some details there on some other things on the motherboard.
Wow, a lot of pictures, all right.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys wanted an intricate view of everything that ever happened in an Alice 90, this
Yeah.
is a perfect blog post.
Yeah.
And of course, you have to use WD-40 because you use WD-40 with everything.
What was that top spray? The one above that.
That one?
Yeah, what's it say?
Electro. I know it's in French or German or
It's
something.
contact cleaner.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Probably like something similar to deoxit, probably.
Yeah.
Because WD-40 is evil on plastic. So
And here it mentions like the Alice 90 is powered by a 6803P, which was manufactured by Thomson, running at 1 megahertz, which is a 6802 with 120 bytes of RAM, a timer, programmable parallel I/O lines, and a serial port. Also used by the Alice for sound generation. Then it goes into the ROM. It has a 16K ROM with a built-in assembler, which was kind of cool. The RAM itself and some of the other gate arrays, video chips, etc. That uses the Thomson EF9345, which has compatible modes with what the VDG had, but also adds in 40 and 80 column modes. The higher
A gimme
graphics, more
before the
colors.
gimme.
What's that?
A gimme before the gimme.
Kind of on the way there, yeah. I don't think it had palette registers or something, a bit more advanced, but pretty close. And there's the painstaking. I remember doing this, cleaning mine once here, trying to put all this damn stuff back together. And then losing the springs when you try to flip it over to put the keyboard on or something. Anyway, I'll go through the whole rest of it, but basically it's a very intricate look. And then he goes through and actually has software demonstrations from the software that came with it, et cetera, too. So if you ever wanted to know everything there is to know about the Alice 90, this is the perfect blog post. And I'm glad he pointed out because I totally missed it when I was checking for news back at the end of October. So thank you, Jim, for pointing it out. And thank you to Fred Belash. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's the guy who actually wrote and took all the pictures here of doing the refurb of an Alice 90.
Yeah.
Next up on the Dragon side of things, we have Julian Brown, who's the one who's recreating the Dragon 3264 motherboards, kind of like Pedro's been doing with the Cocos. And this is a quick and dirty ROM replacement. You can see the picture here. It's a double ROM format, but wiring ready to replace both ROMs with a single chip. And then you have a jumper switch, which lets you switch between two ROM images. It's actually memory space for more, but not easy to put enough switches and jumpers into it because it's fairly small. So that he kind of announced here earlier in the week. And then he did a follow-up of actually showing it installed because he got a couple of samples back to actually put it inside a Dragon itself. And he said it's nice and simple on the replica, but a perfectly tight fit on a Mark II board. I'm not sure how many revisions of the Dragon motherboard there was. I do know there was at least a few here. Said it was not intended to be so tight, but it's well aligned, but I'll take it. And he's still waiting for the new replica board revision to arrive. 6 days to get the UK, 1 day to get to my local depot, another 7 days to get lost, which I'm sure Nick's had experience with getting stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, it looks like it will work even with this new replicate version of the Dragon 2. So that you'll be able to do a dual ROM system in there with just a flip, jumper switch here to flip between the different ROMs. So that's cool.
Ooh, you know what? There's enough room in there. He could have put the Dallas shadow clock chip right in the middle of that socket, so that way you could have had a real-time clock on there.
Yeah, I like the way you think, Mr. David. And then we got some good news here. John Whitworth, who's the guy in charge of Dragon Plus Electronics, who does a Super Sprite FM Plus board, as an example we talked about earlier in the AGD Games section. He's finished his second round of leukemia treatments, and the store is now open again because every time he has to go in for these, he's kind of wiped out. So basically shuts the store down temporarily. And he's back out again and got the store back up and running. So if you want to get a Super Sprite FM Plus board, hopefully there should be some coming along soon. The fact that he's doing this, I'm assuming, means the treatments went well. So I'm hoping everything works well for him and that the cancer stays away. So congratulations, John. And the last little bits here are both from Tim Gilberts, I should say. And he's actually been on Dragon Talk here. And we saw him also at the last Dragon 40th anniversary show when they were walking around doing the tours. So what he found here is a couple of information sheets for the Premier Dragon Disk Operating System, originally by Premier Publications, that was sold back in the day for the Dragon 32. Now, this was a more advanced DOS than we're used to in Disk Extended Basic, which I'll show you a few things about that soon. But it basically consisted of both a price sheet, and they sold it as either just a controller, or you could buy it with pre-done drives in the case, etc. So you can see the prices here. These are in pounds, of course. So the controller itself plugs in the game cartridge, $99.95, which is a little bit more than I think we probably would have gotten here. But these things were much more expensive in the UK. And then you got one here where they came with a 40-track single-sided drive, which has a single density too. It's 100K. And then a Delta 2, which is double-sided drive. And then you get into twin drives and all the way up to this maximum one here, which is controller cartridge, cables, manual, 2 double-sided 80-track Canon drives, 800K storage for $679.95, which is
wasn't a pound
expensive.
like $2 back then?
Yeah, about $212, $215. So yeah, you're talking like $1,400 US. Yeah, $210 for just the controller type thing.
That's like buying Apple floppies back then.
Yeah, or Mac stuff a little bit later.
Yeah, the Apple drives were $500.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the initial Coco one with the controller was 800 Canadian when it first came out. I remember that. That was a double density drive, though. So this here is their second sheet that he scanned in, and this is basically kind of describing the Premier Dragon disk operating system. And they list some of the keywords here. Now, some of these, of course, you'll recognize, like save and load and run and dir and all that kind of stuff. But there's some extra ones that we're not familiar with, like config. And this lets you configure the drive from within the basic disk operating system itself. You can tell it how many tracks it has, whether it's double-sided or not, what the step rate you want to be is, and you can just type config and sorry?
That's a good feature.
Yeah, it is. And then they have assign. This allows the user to rename file names and assign a protection status. Copy and backup provide program copying facilities. Now the assign there, I'm assuming that means you can kind of like in software write protect a file so you can't accidentally overwrite, which is cool. OS 9 has that, but Disk Basic never did. Pen basically is the equivalent of merge. It allows a second basic program to merge with the resident one, even though the line numbers may not be consecutive. Load, save, and run are basically what we're used to, but they also have the chain command, which is the same as run, but all variables from previous programs are retained, as are all open files. So you can actually make a large basic program in chunks and have it just chain between the different chunks of code while keeping your variables. That's something I know a few people in the Discord have asked about. Can you do that with our Disk Basic? And as far as I know, no. I don't know if somebody else has some way of doing it. I know William Asto is working on his new LW Basic, is considering trying to do something along that line himself. But that's definitely an addition. That's something that's not normally built in. It also supports full random and sequential files. We also have that here, except they were called direct and sequential. But this is something new here too, both of which are enhanced by a revolutionary find command, which allows comprehensive searches of records. And wildcard characters are permitted in the search parameters, and the search area can also be specified. With up to 8 files open simultaneously, you can actually search records just built into BASIC without having to actually write all the code to do it. You just tell it to find it. And you can do like find, Rick Star for anything that Rick Euland posted on that you've captured onto, the list server or something like that. So that's a cool command.
Don't do that.
Yeah, there's basically it looks like a more powerful DOS than we got. A pretty decent one by the looks of it. And there's other ones I'm not going to cover here. Sorry?
What's flush?
Might have to flush a buffer.
Probably to close a file or to flush the RAM copy of it out so you don't accidentally corrupt a file or something like that.
That's another one we don't have.
Yeah. Dim number sign, I think that's more like our files command where you can specify random access file, providing the size and structure type thing. I think it's along that line. They don't go into everything here. This is just kind of the promo sheet for it, but that shows some of the stuff that they had in there. And quite a bit of that we never did have on the Coco side of things, unless you had a really enhanced DOS like ADOS or what's the one in Rainbow that the guy Colin Stearman wrote a whole sequence of articles of enhancing DOS. Can't remember the name of it. Cooking with Coco was the call. Can't remember the name of the DOS. But pretty cool. They had some pretty advanced stuff there. And does that justify the cost difference? Probably not completely, but it helps. Go ahead.
So you can't just pop that into our Coco, huh? As a
well, it wouldn't be compatible. And I think it wasn't theirs usually over NMI based, I think. Not. Oh no, ours was NMI based. Theirs was FRQ based, I think, or something like that. Now, Sixie in the chat here mentions, and I'm glad he's here to straighten this out because I don't know these types of things, but he said Delta wasn't very popular, though, because there was an official DOS, even if it was worse, which is the Dragon DOS one I think he's talking about. But that even supported 40 and 80 track drives, if I remember correctly, which ours didn't. They just left it 35 track and never changed it.
Yes, that is true. And the Dragon DOS also stores that information in the track data, I believe. I'm sure Kieran can validate that, but it's nice because you can use 35, 40, 80 double-sided, single, whatever.
I really wish Tandy, when they bothered to do the 1.1 upgrade, which was a year or two after the original 1.0, they fixed some bugs. They added the DOS command to boot OS 9. They still had a K and a half empty on that 8K ROM. They could have added some of this stuff. I don't know why they didn't. But oh well. Anyway, that's the news for this week.
Well, ADOS did some stuff, didn't they? That basically.
Yeah, they did a lot of enhancements, both the original ADOS, the ADOS 3 for the Coco 3, and the ADOS 3 extended, which is for Coco 3 with a 16K ROM.
And then of course,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and don't forget the patches to correct for some of those issues with RGB DOS and HDB DOS.
Yeah. Those came a fair bit later. And I see Alan has joined us. Alan, did you have something you wanted to talk about or show off while you're
Hey,
here?
hi, Curtis. Well, I do. Whenever you do updates, I was going to give an update on the Coco DV boards.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well,
we have not done updates yet. Then I'm done the news, so
now it's time for updates.
Okay.
There we go. Bing.
Well, good timing. So, do you want to just go right into mine then, Curtis?
Yeah, and then we'll get into Fred and I can't remember who else all had updates.
So you've probably seen on Discord that I'm trying to get the Coco DV boards back into production and make those available for sale. And it's been a lot of hard work to source all the parts and pull everything together. And
have you been hitting the same chip shortages that a lot of other people that are?
Oh yes, for sure. Like the whole world is devoid of all of the FPGAs and CPLDs that most of us were using for so many years, and they're unavailable. And I had originally thought that they would start to become available towards the end of this year, a couple of months back, but that didn't happen. And so there's a lot of like hobbyist level FPGAs, like the Altera chips that we were using, and like the one used in Coco VGA, and the one that I was originally using in Coco DV, and those are just gone. So I retooled and changed ICs to a newer chip that's easier to get, and that was the key to being able to bring it back into production and get that going again. But a lot of folks have jumped on board and have bought some, and I'll just show you like the latest sort of incarnation of it, if that's going to show up. Is that coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the board. It's way out of focus, isn't it?
You can try putting your hand behind it. That's a trick that Taylor and Amy use it sometimes.
So it got it. It had it briefly there. Okay, there we go. Okay, and there's now a connector board. So there's a board that you place in the back of the Coco, and it's like this. So it has the HDMI connector. It has your RCA jack for Coco sound, and there's a push button to change video modes, and then there's a spare push button. And one neat little thing is that the boards are now connected with an FFC flex strip cable. So one of these little guys like you see in a laptop or a cell phone or a drone or whatever. They're really easy to route, to bring these under the keyboard, to get them to the back of the case. So it makes that easy for you to put that in. And here's what one looks like installed in the case back.
Okay, so you do have to drill a few holes there to put it in.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, unless you want to try to figure out some way to, yeah.
like a little 3D printed box just to put that board in. You
Like
could
make it
route
external or something.
Yeah, you route the cable.
Oh, you
yeah,
could
make it external, and you can route that cable just out the vent hole or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is the ribbon cable would fit through the vent hole in the top. So yeah, you could put a old 3D box up there.
Yeah.
So is this like a Coco VGA?
Yes.
It's like, it is. It's like so the idea of both of them was to take an old Coco 1 or Coco 2 and just give you another video option besides the RF output. So this is just another, an alternate form of a Coco VGA. Yes.
Except you have enhancements like extra sound and sprites and stuff too, don't you?
It does. It has the sprite support. So the primary thing is to get people's old Coco back into shape for making outputting video, because sometimes the RF quality has deteriorated over the years. So although there's not as much interference over the airwaves as there used to be, the tunable components and the caps have just shifted over time, and it's still not very clean. And there's a lot of
and some TVs don't even support it anymore either. So that's another reason.
Some don't. You can usually find something old enough from a thrift store or wherever. But and then secondarily is you can now add some really cool features like the sprites or the SID sound or things like that. Like on Coco VGA, they've been able to add some video modes and some other
palettes
things.
and
Palette changing. So, but to not get too caught up in that, because there's not a lot of software out there that's going to support a lot of those new features yet. Maybe someday there will be some software that supports it, but really it just gets people back into liking their Coco 1 or Coco 2 again, and you can actually stand to use it every day. You're not banging on the RF modulator or wiggling cables and trying to get it to work. So a lot of people have said, well, I have all these old Coco 2s, let me go dig one out, and they've ordered a Coco DV and gotten their system up and running again. A lot of people have just had them in storage and just didn't enjoy using them as much anymore because maybe they don't have a TV. And this allows them to be able to pull some of those out and make them usable again. Some people, some of the boards don't already have the VDG in a socket, and they'll send the Coco to me, and I'll add the socket here and install the whole thing for them. But for the most part, people are finding that they either already have a socket for their VDG or they're willing to try it themselves, and they've had a lot of success with it.
Now, does that work with a T1 VDG with a different pinout too, or do you have a special version for that?
It does. It's the same piece of hardware, so you just get a different firmware load. So when someone orders, I just ask, do they want it initially loaded with the P or with the T1? And if they want to pick one and they can change their mind later, then they want to order the programming cable also, so they can load the flash chip with a different firmware to support the other chip.
Okay. So it doesn't need a new socket. You just rewire the pins through the chip itself type thing.
Through the chip itself.
Virtually. Yeah.
Right. I think it's 6 of the data bus pins, 6 of the 8 data bus pins just reverse themselves like that. And so it accounts for that. And there's a little bit different signal timing at the pins of the VDG when you compare the P to the T1. So it accounts for the timing difference and for the pin out change.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear you actually figured out a solution to the chip shortage and actually can get them out.
Yeah. So I've purchased materials, so I've had some hiccups just getting it flowing. But whenever anyone who's made something in the past, you make 5 and that goes okay, and then like you try to make 10 or 20, and you start getting into oh, I'm running out of this, I'm running out of that, and you know, you need to invest money to purchase all of this stuff. So I finally gotten it into the flow where I have enough to build a lot every weekend as I need to, and I've not seeing any shortages in FPGAs or other components. So it's nice. It's looking good.
Okay.
Alan,
And then go ahead.
I got a question for you, Alan.
Sure.
Do you have a Coco VGA yourself?
No, I want one though. I just haven't ordered one yet.
Okay.
Well, Brendan's short on chips too, so he can't.
My
Yeah,
question
I saw
is,
that there were some being sold at Coco Fest, but I don't see them back yet.
all right, my question is, the Coco VGA has a program called Viewer, and I'm able to make these 128 by 96 pictures, you know, and I'm wondering if I got yours, would I still be able to run that and see those images?
Does it use the standard Coco graphics?
It kind of does a remapped when it takes a 6K image and makes a 128 by 96 by 16 color. You can set the palette, so it's kind of a new mode, but based on.
Oh, I don't have the new mode
set.
in there. So no, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay.
Now, for those of our audience who are either new to your project here or just sound intrigued by, we talked about it a little bit earlier, actually, when we were talking about the AGD, because the Super Sprite FM Plus board is kind of another competitor. So there's a few of them around. But what would you charge for the board, and how do people contact you if they're interested?
Well, since pricing can change, and this is a recorded video, it could change in the future. So
okay, well, we'll record this video here. This is as of November 26th. Please inquire about the price at the time you ask.
As of right now, it's $120 plus shipping. And if you want to place an order, I don't have a website up and running. I was in the process of doing that to get all the information and the photos of it up there. So I'm just asking people to email me at ac8bitzone@gmail.com. That's AC8bitzone with no S. So AC, the number 8, bitzone@gmail.com. And so people just email me and I send them the information, answer their questions. And then right now I'm just taking payment through PayPal and going at it that way. So maybe in the future, if there's more demand, maybe I could throw a website or finish my website to put some more payment options up there.
Okay. And are you still working on your Pac-Man clone?
I have had no time for that. I'm in full bore production right now. I finally caught up on orders, and the only thing I have left to ship is two full installations where someone didn't have time to do it themselves, and I'm just installing sockets and everything for them. And after that, I'm caught up. So who knows? Maybe with the holidays coming up, maybe there'll be more time to work on the programming side of it.
Okay, cool.
Alan, what you got going on in the background there?
That's the one I'm working on. So that customer is Coco. It's the TV output on the left and the Coco DV on the right. So HDMI on the right and the TV on the left. So you could still use your RF modulator output, but you probably won't want to after you've seen the quality improvement.
And does it support the artifact colors on the HDMI?
It does. It sure does. Yeah, and I think it's probably a lot like the way the Coco VGA supports them. They're emulated, and there are different modes of artifacting. So besides just do you want the red or the blue? It's do you want true artifacts, or do you want simple artifacts where it's only red and blue and black and white? And you can, or do you want monochrome? Because
Daguerreoth is better with monochrome.
Daguerreoth is just cleaner and monochrome, right? So it has the usual. I think I have 5 modes of different styles of artifacts. What else?
Does it support PAL? 60 was asking. I don't know if you answered the question or not.
I'm trying to get a PAL computer, and Brian has actually has volunteered to send me a what does he have? I think he has a Dragon 32 that he's going to send, but I haven't found anyone with a PAL Coco yet. And I was hoping that the Dragon 32 would answer most all of my questions about PAL. I've just never had a PAL machine. I've never been able to test this in one. But one thing about the Dragon 32 is there's plenty of room. You know, there were so many obstacles in the Coco main board for inserting something. But with the Dragon 32, there's headroom. It's just wide open. There aren't transformers in the way, and cartridge pack things are just really. It's just a big square playing
empty
field.
Space there. Yeah, you can like lay your whole second board on there almost.
Like posts in the middle.
Actually, does mention Candy Pal and Dragon Pal are different. So.
Okay, does it mention how, or just that they're different?
Just in chat, he says Candy Pal and Dragon Pal are different. So.
Get a hold of 60. We should fill you in.
Yeah, that's Karen, in case you didn't know.
I know.
Author of Extra.
And so what I need is I really just need to get a machine in my hands, and I've not been able to find a PAL Coco.
Okay, well, now that everybody knows that you need one, maybe somebody will get in contact with you via email address you just provided.
That would be cool. Also, MC10. You know, that's Brian Weisler is also sending an MC10, but I don't think he either didn't have a PAL Coco freed up that he could send, or just had it in storage and couldn't get to it. But he is sending an MC10 and a Dragon 32, so that's going to be good.
That'll be a big step forward.
Cool.
That would be.
Well, thanks for popping on for the update. I was kind of surprised to see you there once we.
Yeah, I was listening in, and since early on when Stevie dropped the bombshell there at the beginning, and we were just out driving around listening, and got back home and decided to pop on.
Okay, cool. Well, people can contact you by the email, and both are just quick general questions about the board, and then also if they happen to have a PAL Dragon for you to try. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Thanks, Curtis.
Thanks,
All right,
Alan.
Thanks.
Okay, who is next
Fred.
on your list, Mark, for project updates and acquisitions?
Fred.
Take it away, Fred.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I don't talk much, but yeah, I wanted to show everybody a program that I actually wrote originally about 30 years ago, back in 1992. And I was learning Basic 09, and so I decided to write this program. And, we were talking earlier about, Curtis, you were asking who here, when they were learning how to program, designed this type of game, and it was like a road race type game. And I made one of those myself when I was learning Basic way back in the day. Another type of program that I'm sure a lot of you probably tried your hand at writing back when you were learning how to program was, of course, a Mandelbrot generator. Who here has done one of those before?
I've got a few videos of them running on my YouTube page, so I guess me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
not done yet.
I tried my hand at that about 30 years ago when I was learning Basic 09. So I wrote a Basic 09 Mandelbrot generator. Now, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of them are faster and more efficient than mine, but mine did have a few features which most probably didn't. And so I thought I was thinking about the program the other day, because I know that Curtis and others have done some work on improving Basic 09, right?
Yep, that'll be in the EOU 1 release coming out shortly.
Yeah, and you've done some work optimizing it and adding some features, and so that made me thinking, I wonder if those optimizations might actually benefit my old Mandelbrot generator program. So I pulled it out and dusted it off and ran it through some paces, and immediately found some areas where the program could be improved and optimized, and even I found a couple of bugs that I could fix. And so So I started playing around with that, and so I made some improvements, and so I thought, hey, why don't I show this off to everybody? Because like I said, it has some interesting features that you might find.
A quick question for you: how many hours is it going to take to render a Mandelbrot set? I don't know if we have time.
Well, when I'm running it under VCC and I really crank up the overclocking, it can generate a picture in like less than 20 minutes. So, but that's cheating. I would say the basic picture of the whole set, the My Basic 09 program can render it in about 4 hours or so. Okay. But then, of course, once you start magnifying it and zooming in, then, of course, it skyrockets from there, as is always the case. But yeah, I'd say the fastest I've been able to generate one was like 4 hours. Now, one of the cool features of this program is that mine can also generate what are called Julia sets. Is anybody familiar with what Julia sets are? Ah, yes, Mark, maybe you could do a better job of explaining to people what they are exactly. Looks like you're jumping on there.
Actually, it's been many years, like 20 or 30 years at this point. But
Yeah.
when I first heard about it, I mean, the Mandelbrot is like a bilateral, and it plots around. They're usually kind of like a vase shaped, whereas the Julia is a different shape, and I can't remember in my mind exactly what it looks like, but it's similar plotting, but it has different coordinates and points, different formula to generate.
Yeah, it's similar to the Mandelbrot set. These Julia set pictures are plotted on the same complex number plane. Okay. But the calculation that's used is a bit different. What you do with a Julia set is you pick a coordinate on the complex number plane, and you feed that number into the iterative mathematical formula. Okay, and that's different than what you do with a Mandelbrot picture, where you just take every point in the complex number plane within a certain area and you run it through that formula, and then you plot out the resulting colors and results on the screen. But the Julia set pictures take a particular coordinate on the plane and run that number through the iterative formula for every point on the complex plane. So the results are rather strikingly different. What's interesting is that unlike the Mandelbrot pictures that are generated, every Julia set picture has radial symmetry. Okay, whereas the main Mandelbrot picture has line symmetry. Okay, and so and also if you choose a coordinate that is close to the Mandelbrot set, okay, then the resulting Julia set picture will have the characteristics that are found at that location in the Mandelbrot set. So that might be difficult to envision, but I'll show you a couple examples in a minute. So if you choose, for example, a spot near the Mandelbrot set that has, say, a bunch of seahorse-shaped features, okay, then when you run that location, that coordinate through the Julia iterative formula, you'll notice it generates a radially symmetric picture that has tons of seahorses all over in it. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. So I'm bringing it up right now, and so I'm going to start the program. I've called it Mandel 09, not particularly creative in what I called it. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. So here's oh yeah, another really nice feature about my Mandelbrot generating program is that it makes full use of multi-view style windows and overlay windows and drop down menus and the works. So it's pretty slick that way. It's pretty user friendly. Okay. So here's the program. And so you've got different menu drop down menus here. New picture, you can open an existing picture that you've saved. There's access to, hold on a sec. Access to disk utilities. And you can switch between high res and low res. And you can manually enter parameters for the Mandelbrot calculations. You can change the iteration count and so on and so forth. Now, I'll start with a Mandelbrot picture. Let's see, I need to make sure I'm in the right directory here. And let's try this. So, hold on a sec. So that should look familiar. That's the main Mandelbrot picture, okay? And I've zoomed in and generated some interesting pictures. Let's see which would be a good one. Some of these, by the way, are garbled, and so I need to. I'm not sure whether. Oh, this one's garbled. Never mind. Let's load it in a different one. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's a nice one. Yeah, so that's what I generated. Really pretty. This one probably broke. This probably took like 12 hours to render. Now,
at 25 megahertz.
Well, when it's under when it's set at the normal speed that a Coco runs at, it's like 12 hours. but at 25 megahertz, yeah, it can generate one of these pretty fast. Now, as far as Julia pictures go, I'll show you how the Julia pictures differ. I need to change directories though. Oh wait, no, I don't need to do that. What am I doing? Okay. So we're going to go into the Julia Pics directory here. There we go. And here's an example of a Julia picture right here. If it loads. Did it load? I don't think it loaded.
No.
Huh, didn't load. Let's try that again. Oh, okay. Let's try a different one. There we go. Yeah, that's a good one. So you notice this picture has radial symmetry rather than line symmetry like Mandelbrot pictures do. And it has some of the same features that you'll typically see in a Mandelbrot picture, okay? And so, but they're repeated over and over again at different scales. And I really like Julia pictures because of their radial symmetry. I think they look, I don't know, very symmetrical, which to me are rather eye-pleasing. Now, you can zoom in on these pictures just like you can on Mandelbrot pictures, okay? Now, before I do that, let me maybe show you a couple more because there's an infinite variety of different types of Julia pictures, okay? So let's see if I can load in another one. Yeah, there's another one. All right, see, so that's another one right there. And let's see, maybe one or two more I'll show you.
Do these take less time to load in?
Yes, they do. So that's another advantage of Julia Pics is that they take a lot less time to generate. Okay. To be honest, I forget how much shorter it takes, but I mean, probably a few hours shorter, you know, at Coco speeds. This is another one. Okay. Very nice. And let's see if I can load one more. Oh yeah. This one's really interesting. This one is taken from a spot that's slightly farther from the Mandelbrot set. Okay, so it's a little bit more distant from the edge of the Mandelbrot bug shape, you know, and so that's why it's not as complex a picture. Anyway, I wanted to show you what it's how relatively fast it takes to generate one of these compared to a regular Mandelbrot picture, and how they look. So if we here, let me load one of these other ones.
I like your custom pointer.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I didn't design it myself. I found this on the Coco archive.
Yeah, there was a couple of alternate sets there.
Yeah,
we're actually working on redesigning ours. It won't be an EOU one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. But yeah, if you check out the Coco archive, there's a couple of alternate mouse pointers that I found years ago. In fact, this is not something I recently found. I found this like, I don't know, 15 years ago.
Yeah, they came out this particular set, which has the sleeping for the sleep thing instead of the hourglass. If I remember, this came out like 91, 92, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah,
it's pre-Nitrous 9. I know that.
Yeah, and I really like them. So I've been using them for years. So anyway, so let's see. I loaded the picture. Now I'm going to magnify. And so what I do is I use the little yeah, there we go. Going to be a little off center, but oh well. Oops, sorry, one sec. There we go. Now, what am I running this at? Let me take a look. Oh yeah, let's crank it up some more. So anyway, you can magnify it and zoom in just like you can on a regular Mandelbrot picture.
What would your result be in this case? Is it going to look similar to what we're already seeing here?
Well, it's going to zoom up that rectangular area in the middle.
Yeah, see the rectangular area that I outlined in the middle of the screen here. That's what it's now generating is a zoomed in enlarged version of that same area. Okay.
So we're actually getting new data. Like in the right side, you can see the green has got a lot more detail than is.
Yeah. As you zoom in, it increases the detail. Yeah, that's right.
So what so all that detail is built in, and we're just seeing an overview in the first picture.
Yeah, it depends on how finely you sample the data. So
right. So how deep can you go? Like 3 levels in, or?
Infinite, pretty well, I think.
Well, theoretically, you could. The color computer, though, is going to be much more limited. You're not going to be able to go that deep. I mean, there's supercomputers that can go like crazy deep, you know. But
if you have years, you can go really deep on the Coco.
All right, how long you got?
Well, the problem is that as you go deeper, the number of decimal places that it calculates the number out to becomes longer and longer and longer, and the color computer can only calculate to a certain number of decimal places. So you start running into that limitation, I think. I think. Memory serves me right.
It's rendered pretty quick on this one so far.
Well, yeah, I've jacked up the
Yeah, you're running at 98 megahertz or whatever.
It's at like, what is it at? I can check. It's currently running at 88 megahertz.
And that's on 609 mode on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, the
So-
the speed ups we've done to basic 9 aren't going to make that much of a difference.
No.
couple percent faster. That's about it.
I'm only doing it at this speed so that you can actually see some results in a reasonable amount of time. So yeah, I mean, so that's, I mean, I've seen a lot of Mandelbrot generators out there, but I haven't hardly seen any that can generate Julia pictures like this. So that is, that's one nice thing. Also, my program has a very extensive tutorial and help program associated with it. So there's a place where you can, here, I can pause this somehow.
No, out of curiosity, Fred, like I know you've been working on the control version 3 using the new DCC compiler. So I wanted to ask you how that was going.
Oh my gosh. So I've been
should I just release the existing control you gave me earlier with the older DCC just to get it going? We can update the source and stuff later.
I'm thinking maybe you should. So because I've been furiously working the last few days on trying to get control to work using the newest version of DCC, and I made a lot of progress, but I think there's still a ways to go. I might be able to get it done in a few days. I don't know. I'm not sure how close you are to wanting to release.
End of this upcoming week is my goal.
The end of this coming week. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say go with the older version I already sent you, unless I say otherwise.
Okay.
I'll try over the next few days to get it done, but if not, we'll just go with the version you already have.
Okay. Because I do want to include the new DCC because there's some new features in it too. But this program here right now would not be a bad one for me to throw on as well if you wanted to send this.
Yeah, I think there's like one more bug in this I still have to fix because, like I said, I've been working on optimizing it. And it's pretty much done, but I'll show you what happens is quit program. Yes. Oh, wait, it closed out cleanly. Never mind. Maybe that bug's been fixed.
Never mind. Well, send it along any
ping.
Yeah, I'll send this to you. You can throw it in into EOU. That'd be cool. And I'm planning on uploading it to the archive. For some reason, I've had this program around for like 30 years, and I've never sent it up to the archive before. So
we're always looking for something to burn up a lot of time.
Oh, this is perfect.
Right.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, so it's a neat little program. Like I said, it's not the fastest Mandelbrot generator around. There's others that are faster, but it has a lot of cool features. I'm kind of proud of. So
yeah, send me up that, and I'll include that in.
Okay. Yeah,
on the new one there, and I'll just put the old control in, unless you, like you said, you notify me. Otherwise, you got the other bugs. What is the main problem? Is it just because it's bigger and it ran out of RAM, or is there some fundamental changes that Jeff's done? Or
it's weird. I don't know what all is different between the newest DCC and the somewhat slightly older version that I was using, but for some reason, the newest DCC just could not handle the size of the files that I was trying to compile, and it would compile up to a point and then start sending me a ton of errors, and I'm like, okay, so I need to break this up somehow. So that's what I've been working on.
You keep saying DCC. Do you mean VCC?
No, DCC is the new C compiler for OS 9 that Jeff Tennyson's working on. He's been enhancing it to be more ANSI-like.
It's very confusing.
Yeah. Well, the original one is called CC. That was the C compiler from Microware, and then DCC is Deek's C compiler, I guess, probably because Deek is his handle on Discord.
Right.
All right, makes sense now.
Yeah, I've been working pretty closely with Deek to try to get this working, but there's still a ways to go. But I'll be working on it furiously every day, and
well, if you don't make it, don't worry about it. I mean, I know I'm going to have a bug fix release like I do for every version. So version 601 and 610 were versions of updates. So there'll be an ease of use 1.0.1 or 1.1.0 depending on how many changes are done. I do know Jim Gary had found 3 bugs in CoVDG. 2 of them are fixed for this 1.0.0 release. The other one is a little bit more extravagant, so I have to take a bit more time. And there's a few other things I didn't quite get ready, probably won't be ready by the end of the week either. But I don't want to have people wait till after Christmas when I already promised to have it out for last Rainbow Fest, and I'm that late already. So,
well, at least At least we want some new cursors, right? Some new mouse cursors.
Well, there's also the fact that Rick Euland's Web Wrangler requires the new GFX2 module, and nobody else can use it until I can release that to the public. So that's another reason.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I like the trash can.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful trash can. Yeah.
You should draw that as a Mandelbrot and zoom in on that. You can see Nick's initials carved in the bottom.
That's right.
You know, Curtis, if you planned on having this out at the last Rainbow Fest, you're really late.
I am. I was planning on it for the last Rainbow Fest, and it is really late. That's why I'm not waiting anymore. Even if it's not as complete as I would have liked it, it's better to have some new stuff out than nothing again.
Here, I thought you were going to have it for the last Coco Fest, but
that was a plan.
Fred, do you have different colors that you can choose?
Or you're talking about Mandelbrot program again?
When it shows
yes, you can. I already unshared my screen, but yeah. But in the params menu, which I briefly showed you there, you can change all kinds of parameters. One of which affects the color scheme. So yes,
Because I always thought maybe a black background would be cool to have it printed on, but I guess it depends.
Oh no, you can fiddle with it and make it happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well, definitely, yeah. Send me a copy of the Mandelbrot program once you find that last bug there, and then DCC. I'll include the new DCC just some of the new features there, but I'll put the binary for the control from your previous one you'd sent me.
Okay.
That I haven't found any bugs in, so that at least the new functionality is there, and then you can kind of get it working with the new compiler afterwards.
All right. Cool. Sounds good.
Okay, Mark, you had somebody else, I believe, that was also.
Yes, we have. Okay, long enough on the intro.
Oh, it's just getting into the groove.
Just
we're still going to be able to use that music.
Just as you start liking the music, he cuts it off, right? Okay.
Oh, I could go longer.
No, that's okay.
Okay, go ahead, Ron.
Here we go. Do you see
Mandelbrot set? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, really. Do you see it?
Yes, we see your page.
All right. So what we got here is when the Buffalo Bills play, I always usually put something up on the Coco and throw it up. And I really needed them to win, so I put two of them up. And they won.
I watched that game on Thursday.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost went overtime.
Yeah, if you're what do they call it when you're I forget the word for what is it when you're superstitious? You do stuff like that, I guess. Happy Thanksgiving on the Coco. The new electric charger. Huh? What do you think, guys? It's pretty.
I'd have to try one first.
Yes. Well, they're going to be expensive.
Right.
Then this is
does it boot OS 9?
Oh, here's your self-portrait.
Yeah. Here's
it's Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah. And you know what he used his hammer for? You know, he had a pick in his hand. In
installing VDG chips.
He would hit the ground and looking for silver or gold.
Silver and gold.
That's it.
Silver and gold.
Yep.
Silver and gold.
You guys have seen this before?
Yeah, Simon Jonason's Coco 3 demo.
Oh, it's the blue donut.
I put it with.
Now I'm hungry.
Donuts.
I've got some donuts over here, Curtis. I'll send one to you.
Yeah, ship them over.
That is an exceptional
I'll have
graphic.
it by next week, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really cool graphic. Even if you just sit there and stare at it for a while.
Frank Augad.
Yes. Here's a ad. A nice looking girl, bringing you into the new world of Flex and OS 9.
Frank actually, when his interview, talked quite extensively about this ad campaign because he had a few commercials like this, and he also talked about the shoot and costuming and stuff like that they used for some of them, because some of them are a bit more risque than this.
Oh yeah,
and in color. But he
Yeah.
actually, on one of the groups, he actually posted some of the original photo shoot photos that were taken during these that are not the ones he used in the magazine. So like outtakes. I don't know if you remember that, Ron, from back in the tape.
Cool. And there's this game I came across. I looked at that and I thought, wow, that looks cool. I wonder if the game's just as cool. And the
It's
very
hard.
beginning, when this thing comes up,
It does that
sounds
sound.
pretty cool.
Zoom.
Yeah, it's really cool. But
The
it's
game
kind of,
itself requires a Coco 1 and 2 keyboard. You will not be able to do any good with this if you're playing keyboard. Anyway, there's a joystick option too. It will not play well with the Coco 3 keyboard at all. And I actually used to be pretty good at it. I could get up to the big, what is it, Wave 8, where you have the big mutant ship that breaks apart when you kill it.
is that more like?
Yeah,
like
that's
this
the
one?
mutant ship there. Yeah.
Okay. Because when I saw the ad, I'm thinking, well, it's just a little ship here, right there.
You have to get to Wave 8, I think it is, to get the big ship.
Oh, okay. All right. Plus the background's black, and this is just kind of
Yeah, dark green. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway, and that we've already covered. I put this to music, and the music is free that you can get, but I just thought it looked cool knocking around. That's in composite.
Yeah,
And
so the ball's a little bit different color.
I have the switcheroo, so I have the chance to change it from this, which is we don't see that much. It's out there. You can sit and watch that just like you can that little donut. And then I did Denzel Washington. They come out pretty good.
Yeah, the High Killer one in particular did.
That's a young Denzel.
I got a mouse pad done. I drew this on my computer quite a while ago. And then I was on Amazon and thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a mouse pad? And the only way this is Coco related is you have a mouse on your Coco and you can use this mouse pad. That's it. Otherwise, it has nothing to do with it.
That's quite a stretch.
Yeah. So basically, anyone know who Taylor Swift is?
No, not really.
Yeah,
She's a singer. She has like 8 songs in the top 10. And this one came out pretty nice for the Coco VGA. When you step back, it looks pretty, like here. Yeah. Oop. That looks cool. Came out nice. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Even
We'll
if it's
still
just
have you
showing
on.
dumb pictures I make.
So in the chat, 60 was asking if there was much of a debate over Flex versus OS9.
In the Coco 1 days, oh yeah. Frank Hogg actually was originally going to be making the OS9 port to the Coco 1 and 2 for microware, and then all of a sudden, or for Tandy, I should say, and then all of a sudden Tandy went directly to microware. And then he became a bit against it. I mean, he was a bit against it before. He said, on the Coco, because we didn't have, like, we had the bit bangers, the default serial port, and we only had a 32 column screen with just uppercase and stuff. He wasn't that impressed with it. So he kind of pushed Flex in the Coco 1 and 2 days from 82, 83, 84, around that area. Once the Coco 3 came out, it became a complete OS9 nut, but he didn't push Flex after that whatsoever, because OS9 level 2 was a whole different beast.
What was the thing about Flex that sold itself? I mean, what was the feature or the best part of it?
Well, it made much better use of the disk. Like we were talking about the Dragon disk operating system earlier that can handle 35, 40, and 80 tracks. Well, Flex could do that. Flex also had the option for the high-res graphics screen built in, so you could actually do your text on 51 by 24 or whatever. It had disk directory systems, like subdirectories like DOS and CPM, and a few other things did too.
Did it have
CPM,
a
right?
basic?
Yeah, it had a couple of them actually. It had a Microsoft Basic, a TSC Basic, a compiled Basic, I think called A Basic, if I remember. And it had hundreds of programs. It had a lot of business and productivity software like word processors and spelling checkers and stuff like that. So it was kind of early on the Coco doing that kind of stuff. OS9 had it too, but OS9, the operating system took a lot more memory because it was multi-user multitasking. Flex is not.
Eventually, all those features did get incorporated into, OS 9 and Nitrous 9 level, level 2 and all.
Oh yeah. Like level 2 OS 9, basically, that's when Frank quit selling Flex for the most part.
So is there in the archive, is there a Flex folder with all these productive programs?
Somebody was making a whole Flex archive. I don't know if it's on the Color Computer archive itself, but somebody else was doing something like that. Yes, they were collecting everything. Because Frank used to have 32-page catalogs embedded in Color Computer News and Rainbow, advertising all the stuff they had for Flex. Couple hundred programs.
How boring would it be to have someone demonstrate it if they knew it well enough? I mean,
there's actually a couple demos, I think, on YouTube, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because that was a popular one on a whole bunch of 609 systems, not just the Coco or the Dragon. So there's a few like the SWTPCs and
so
Smoke Signal Chieftains and stuff.
Do you know the guy that formed it or made it, and why did they use the word Flex? Did it have to do with the way?
I'm trying to remember. Was it TSC that did the original? Because there was several versions of Flex for the Coco. Spectral had one. Frank Hogg had one. There might have been a third that I don't remember. But it predates the Coco because there was versions of Flex for like the raw terminal-based 609 systems before, like the Gimmicks 1. The 56K gimmicks for OS9 level 1 or Flex, that was an option that gimmicks sold. And
so it didn't go back to the 6800?
It might have actually. I'm trying to remember the very first version. Is it 76 or 79 is ringing a bell? If it's 79, it probably was 609 only. If it was the 77, 76 one, then yes, it would have been on the 6800 as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was a much more advanced OS than, say, Disk Basic.
Okay.
Which, isn't hard. Mark Siegel says yes on the 6800, and so does Mikey. So yes.
Yeah, I used to see it, but I never thought it was connected to a Coco. I always saw it.
It was ported to the Coco. It already existed before that for previous machines.
Everything else.
It was like 4 or 5 years ago when I saw it.
It was quite powerful. And worked in a 64K machine. That was its big claim to fame. It had subdirectories and a bunch of other options too, which Disk Basic did not, etc. OS 9 on the same power machine, the OS took up too much room, so you couldn't make as complex or as big of apps. Level 2, we went the MMU and greater than 64K with 128, 512, 2 meg, etc. That's when Flex kind of fell more to the wayside. Though they did make a bigger, was it Uniflex or something? Was the big MMU based one of that? I think they might even have ported the 68000 if I remember correctly. Hopefully the guys in the chat that know it a lot better remember better than I do.
Does it compare to Unix at all, or for the lines?
No, not really.
Commands?
No, you can build your own COM files. This is probably closer to DOS or CPM, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that it's closer to CPM than anything else, from what I've what I've been told.
There's obviously some people in the chat that know this a lot better than me because a whole bunch of them are piping up on it here.
The problem with OS 9 was OS 9 used up the whole computer. Level 1 pretty much, it was a demo. It wasn't really a...
Yeah, unless you're running terminals where you didn't have screens and stuff to worry about that take a ton of room. Yeah.
I got to say that I never really was interested in OS 9 at all until level 2 came out. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah, I tried it on level 1. And of course, you had a couple games like Biosphere and stuff that came with it. It was kind of intriguing, but it was like 32 columns screen. I'm going to put an ampersand of multitask, and I got 2 programs running the screen at once. It's just a big mess.
Yeah, it's not enough memory to do anything significant with.
And no windowing at all. That was the other problem. Because if I want to run 2 programs, I don't want them running at the same time on the same screen.
The first DeskMate got me hooked with that. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, the file system and the fact that OS 9 could support like 80-track double-sided drives, that was a big thing. Now you suddenly have 720K to fiddle with on a disk rather than 160. But level 2, once the windowing and multi-screens came in, that was what sold me. I didn't look back after that.
Yeah, plus when we could cram 800K on a 3.5 later.
Well, Multiview was really cool when it first came out. It was like
actually Mikey and Mark Oberers have both mentioned here Uniflex is Unix-like, so Uniflex was a bit more Unix than CPM-ish. And Mikey said Uniflex was 6809 and 68K, so I was remembering that right, which surprised me because my memory sucks. But yeah, that's actually not a bad idea because I know some other people, even on the Discord, have asked about Flex. I think we have a channel for it because it's a bit of history from the early 80s, like 81, 82, 83, 84, up until around the Coco 3. It was fairly common. It wasn't as common as Disk Basic, obviously, but
Frank Cobb seemed to be the driver behind that.
Yeah, and Spectral was selling it in the earlier 80s. I mean, they had their own version of it that you could take a look at, like 1982 Rainbows, and you can see the ad for their version of Flex. In fact, they had a 64K RAM cartridge, so you didn't have to do any tinkering with the motherboard itself. You just plug it aside, you got 64K, and then you could run their version of Flex on that. And
I
had the
remember
plus prompt, I think.
I remember bringing Flex up and then thinking, okay, now what do I do?
Exactly. I do remember it had a couple of pretty good basic compilers that had like Dynus Calc, Dynus Spell, all that stuff. Some of it written by Dale Puckett of the OS9 column fame, and Rainbow was all done under Flex before going to OS9. So
now that's interesting because Dynacalc was on everything. It was on Starcade OS. It was on everything. I wonder, they had a good marketing team.
Yeah. 60 saying in the chat here that Stuart Orchard, who we had on the show for some of his awesome games he did for the Dragon, reported a more recent Flex to the Dragon using his banker board repro. So I'm assuming that has more than 64K too. So he's actually probably getting the bigger version of Flex out.
So did Flex put the Coco in 64K mode to run type of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't remember if it ran in under 64K or not. Probably not. But I can't remember for sure. I mean, the original OS9 level 1, when Micro first brought it out, only needed 32K to run. But the Coco version required 64. Did anybody else have any presentations there, Mr. Mark?
Nothing on my list.
Okay.
I can
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Just regarding Patrick's Orchestra 180, I can just show what I've started doing for that.
Oh, sure.
I've started putting together a bit of a program for allowing us to get sound samples and get them running on Patrick's Orchestra 180, and it's at this stage it's a very preliminary copy of the user interface. I can just bring that up. It doesn't do anything. It just sits there and looks pretty.
Neat.
So that's it there.
You learned how to count on this one.
Well, the buttons are they're just dummy labels. So they're going to have proper words, proper functions on them later on. At the moment, there's nothing there, but you'll have things like being able to do things with the different sound waves, which are going to appear in the window on top with the black area. So that's where you'll see the actual waveforms or the samples. And below that, you've got some controls there for playing it forwards, backwards, whatever. And at the moment, the cursor is flashing, but of course, nothing's happening yet because that's what I'm up to. So once the UI's... Oh, sorry.
Are we going to get Dennis Kitts to do a symphony with... You know how I can write
Well,
that would be a great promo for it.
It would be, but I've got to get to that stage at the moment.
I think Dennis is also kind of retired from the retro stuff here. I think he's more doing his operas and stuff now these days.
So the idea here is you can make samples and then use them in your own composition.
Yeah, well, the first stage is the sample. Yeah, playing samples and sending them out to the 4-channel Orchestra 180. Once the samples are in there, then the next thing is to write something to sequence them, or like build up a player or song creator. But this is a long-term project. I just want to get this get it playing sounds through the Orchestra 180 first, and to see if it can do it fairly well. So, but that's the program so far.
So this is something Danielle O'Connor might be interested in for his music.
Yes, it would be. Yeah,
I would.
Her music.
Probably, yeah. This is the very, very early stage, just kind of designing the layout of the program right now. So it's
just the layout, just trying to design the way it's going to look. There's going to be a few more. There's going to be a few more buttons in that.
Are you going to have a trash can off to the side?
Not really. I figured the best trash can is just turn the power off. There we go.
We're getting into that cart before the horse thing where we need some software to design the hardware, and then we need the hardware to improve the software. So, some things go first.
This looks
First
like
thing is to make it.
looks like the ease of use colors.
Yep, standard gray palette.
The grays, yeah. I could use a blue. I could use a shades of green.
No, we're just using shades of gray.
Yeah, because we're all grey as well, so it
Bingo.
matches the users.
Well,
I'm designing it for a market.
I could swear I'm looking into a mirror right now.
Will this run on a gray Coco one?
No, Coco 3
required.
6309.
All right.
Now you could run the card on a Coco 1 or 2 though later on.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
you could. Yeah. The card would. Yeah.
The card will run ORC 90 stuff.
Yeah.
Our intention.
In stereo.
It will always be useful for something.
Yeah.
That's good.
Anyway.
So is there going to be
I've got to show.
a name for the software?
Well, for the software, I haven't come up with a name. The hardware is going to be the Orchestra 180, of course, because it's a double an Orchestra 90.
It's the quadraphonic one if you want to set it up right.
Yeah, it's 4 channels, not 2. But yeah, I haven't come up with a name yet. I just want to make sure it works first. At the moment, it's the Orchestra 180 test program.
Okay. Well,
and then if it actually, it's a start. Then we can also we can mold it later.
Well, guys, I got to take off.
Yep, me too.
Family stuff to do. But nice seeing you all, and have
see you later.
Yeah, and fire me up your Mandelbrot thing there, and I'll.
Will do.
I'll throw that on as I'm cleaning up the last few things. I'm going to guarantee are going to be on there.
I've got a bail as well, so see you all later.
Okay. Later, Nick. Bye. Later, Fred. I think we're pretty well near the end of the show at this point. Yeah. I didn't have any other segments planned. I don't think Mark did either.
Okay, so I was going to mention one thing.
Really quick. David. Okay, go ahead, David.
Okay, so the Don Barber replied to my one comment about it would be nice to have a few of these, and he replied.
Okay, refresh my memory. What are we talking about?
Few of what?
The RS-232 pack USB project.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So he goes, I'll do a group buy in about 1.5 weeks after I get back from putting on reInvent.
Okay, so if anybody interested and does not have the capability of actually making and soldering all their own stuff.
Oh, a group buy means group prices.
Possibly that too.
But I saw him reply to me, and I figured I'd share before the end of the episode.
That's good to hear. So anybody interested in that has basically a week and a half. Does he have pricing yet? What do you think he'll be able to get them for? Does that depend on the group size?
I don't know. Anybody that's on Facebook probably should chime in. So, hint.
Are you hinting at something, David?
No, maybe.
No. Well, you're not being clear enough.
Now, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
No, we don't need to get you started. It's the end of the show, I think.
Just hit clear.
Oh yes.
By the way, talking about Fred and his getting his Control 3 program for EOU to work with the new DC compiler, we were kind of speculating like what exactly is happening. Deke himself actually popped in the chat. He doesn't usually pop in here, so he said the new headers, which are much more complete, are probably the first cause of control build failure. Because the new headers take more room, I know. So I think I know they've been going back and forth and figuring out ways to compress the code a little bit. So hopefully it'll get it working for the 6.01 or 6.10 release if it doesn't get a chance. Or I keep saying 6 version 1.0.0 release or 1, I should say. Because I do have a couple things I want to fix up too that just aren't going to make it. But I do want to get, especially for Rick, Web Wrangler, we have to get that new GFX2 there for the menu handling and stuff. So
that means I'm going to finish the code.
Yeah. And then Ken can make a new Basic 9 video on that too with some of the features. Maybe run some Mandelbrot sets.
Okay.
Anyway, if anybody else says anything, this is the last chance, and then if not, we will end the show until next week.
Well, it is Small Business Saturday, so cocoman.biz. Head over there for your cocoa needs, and with any purchase of an item, you can buy unlimited items at regular price.
Cool.
No offer code needed.
That sounds like a government sale to me.
Your Black Friday sale, right?
You have
Small
stuff
Business
in stock?
Saturday. Yeah.
Do you have things in stock?
Things are in stock, or things can be put into stock very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't do too much with like these CPLDs and FPGAs that are all in short
No,
supply.
I have the parts. Some things need assembled, but they can be assembled in a quick amount of time and sent out.
Okay.
Cool.
That's the nice thing about switches. Those are usually readily available.
Right.
Or software. It doesn't require anything physical, so it's fine.
Okay. Promo.
Push the button, Frank.
All right, gotta run the outro. Here we go.
The time has come to unite the world under one nation, an 8-bit nation, a neon green nation, the Coco Nation. The Coco Nation Show, coming soon.
This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer, MC10, and Dragon systems. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at cocotalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to cocotalk@cocotalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our website, cocotalk.live. CoCoTALK would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Alan Murphy, Amigos Retro Gaming, Bill Noble, Brian Joyce, Brian Weaver, Curtis Boyle, D. Bruce Moore, Danny O'Connor, David Ladd, Eric Canales, George Jansen, Grant Leedy, James Diffendapper, Jason Reichert, Jim Brain, Ken Reichert, Ken Waters, Mark Bosley, Mark Overholzer, Mikey Furman, Mr. Dave 6309, Nick Marentes, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Richard Lorbieski, Rick Adams, Rick Hewlin, Rob Inman, Ron Delvaux, Samuel Gimes, Sloopy Malibu, Steve Bjork, Terry Steggy, Tom C., and many, many more. Please help support the CoCo community. A list of various contributors and resources are available at imacoconut.com. That's IMACOCONUT.com. The original CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2020 by D. Bruce Moore. Both are mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. Coco forever!
Okay, that's about it.
That's about it. I guess the only thing that's left is we say our goodbyes and push the button.
Push the
See y'all next week.
Is this the end?
Bye.
Bye.